Hey, and we're back. Okay, wonderful. Time for some more Dragon Age. Tonight's session is going to be a little different to the last two. I'm not going to explain how, but hopefully you'll all understand as the session begins to unfold. So, for the last few sessions you've been fighting against this evil cult in the streets of Denerim late one evening, feeling progressively more battered and worn down and exhausted and almost exploded by foul, unnatural magics.
Hooray.
But now, the guards of House Baranti have taken away the evil, possessed woman to the Baranti manor, where she will no doubt be dealt with appropriately. And Captain Braden informed you all that Ban Baranti would be very grateful for your assistance in this matter, and that you could expect to be contacted by her or a representative of hers in the very near future regarding a reward.
I like that word.
Actually, that does remind me of something very important, because it's very interesting indeed, the way that is handled.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Expecting the worst already. Wonderful.
So, it's late at night, you all find yourself outside a building which is not on fire, regardless of what Scaly may have tried to do a few years back. And you are just drained of energy, you are, just shattered, you want to just head back to your lodgings, and I need to stop saying the word just, and let's just say that you want to get back to your lodgings and just rest. You trudge through the mist-laden streets, push your way through the heavy door, barge your way upstairs, burst into your lodgings and collapse on the beds, too tired to even wash or undress, just absolutely exhausted. Anyone who'd like to, you can select your tokens and perform a long rest, which would just be click health and scroll down to sleep. And then for mana regaining, it's a little different.
8-hour rest.
No, no, I'm just the amount you get back.
Yeah, sleep.
Yeah.
8 hours is just about it.
No, it's got a drop down option of spin to regain 8-hour rest.
No. If
No, don't
you
spin.
sleep all night, you get all mana back, regardless of how much you had. If there's no, it's not an amount; it's just all of it.
A long needed.
What we do to sleep?
Yep, sleep should get you back a fair bit of health.
Your mana.
I mean, it's like 10 plus your level plus your constitution for a long rest, I think.
Oh, in that case.
That is exactly what it is for a long rest. And then everyone gets all their mana back as well if they're spellcasters. You sleep fitful dreams of cultists battering down doors and dragging away young innocent children. You feel very troubled over the experiences of the night before. It is not pretty. However, when you do wake, the sun is shining through the window shutters. You get the feeling it's slightly later than you would normally rise, and you can smell the scent of baking coming up from the kitchen downstairs. And you all feel very stiff and sore for sleeping in clothes. Some of you may have even slept in armour, and you're pretty uncomfortable. There's red lines in your skin. It's like, oh, slept on that seam a little bit awkwardly. You kind of just, as you stretch and get ready to face the world once again.
Only Scott. There's only.
Haldir will get up, get done stretching, make my way down the hall to.
Stop.
Okay.
You head to the doorway to enter the hall and find someone standing outside the door. Now, I don't mean you open the door and there's someone kind of lounging against the wall. No, we're talking like someone standing right up against the door as if they were about to open it or had been waiting for quite some time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a not entirely unattractive young elven woman dressed in servant's livery with short hair in double pigtails, and she's very clean and tidy. However, you notice that the tip of her right ear is missing. It looks like it was brutally hacked off with a knife many years ago. It's left a rather nasty, ragged scar, you know, where it was just cut away, but it has healed in time. It's not a fresh injury.
Yes,
She's got a headscarf on, restraining her hair, and she just looks up and she says, "Ah, there you are. I've been looking for you. You are one of the group of people who helped the House Baranti guards last night. Is that correct?" She says that in a tone of voice that implies she already knows the answer to the question.
One of them, I was just going to go pay a visit to my other, my younger sister, Falrin.
Oh, of course, sir. If you just allow me, I have been empowered to deliver a written invitation to you all. Once I can get your attention, would you be willing to deliver it, or perhaps I should accompany you?
You should probably accompany, because after I see my sister, I'm going to go see about getting us some baths arranged, because I feel horrible.
She opens her mouth slightly, then closes it, and dips her head slightly, and steps aside, allowing you to move down the hallway.
I don't know, you can walk beside me, I don't mind. Certainly.
She falls in behind you and follows.
I'll stop, and I'm not a noble. I'm not a knight. Why are you? I'm not higher station than you. But okay.
If you say so, sir. She takes a couple of steps back and waits for you to proceed.
I'm not a sir.
Of course, sir. Do carry on.
Okay.
Okay, so just as a personal note, I think the supposed Ferelden habit of addressing all men and women as sir was a cheap way to avoid having to put gender pronouns into their games. But it became more evident later on that it was more of an SJW thing of trying to make everything extremely gender neutral, and it's like I've played games of Dragon Age in the past where players have strongly objected to female characters being called sir, and it's not something I generally go along with that much. Just like I don't do Dragon Age 2 style Darkspawn and keep them looking like they did in the first game.
Wasn't it something like for female Templars, for example, they go like Sarah or something? I don't know.
Not that much.
Not that much.
I'll head down to the next door, whoever's it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And doom 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 doom. Hey, wake up!
You hear a slight sigh behind you, and a hand is placed on your shoulder, and the elven woman pulls you back slightly and intercedes herself between you and the door.
Okay.
Carry on. Please.
Falrin, you in there? Come on, sis, wake up.
Yeah,
What is it?
this bunk bed is a little closer to the ceiling than you think, as you kind of wake with a start and bang your head on the ceiling, apparently. Hey, I heard that. You can't make me go back on it now. I heard the thump and the ah.
Who is it?
It's
The-
Haldir and a servant.
The door opens and a politely dressed young elven woman, as previously described, with a missing tip of her ear, steps through the doorway, dips her eyes and says, "Begging your pardon, ma'am, but I..." And then as she lifts her eyes, her mouth opens considerably and she just stops dead, looks at you, raises an eyebrow and kind of jerks her head back with an expression on her face that kind of says, "Does she know this?"
I raise an eyebrow at her and shrug.
Begging your pardon, it's just that I've been sent to meet with you and your friends. It's a most urgent matter, if you could all make yourselves available.
How urgent?
Lady Baranti requires my presence back at the manor once I have an answer.
Oh, right. Of course. Lady.
Fowl, I'm gonna leave her with you, and let you and her deliver the message to the others. I'm gonna go get us a couple of baths arranged.
Fine.
Oh,
just
oh
don't
no,
be
no,
loud,
no, sir,
okay?
no need at all. I'll go
No?
do that, sir. It'll be my pleasure. And she darts out of the
Oh.
room, blushing
Okay.
slightly.
I'll walk over and have a seat and just kind of.
Wait, Holly, you gonna go back to sleep already?
Huh? What? I'm whooped. I've been wearing this armor all day yesterday and this morning.
I guess I'll go wake up the others then while you go back to sleep.
Well, I'm gonna take the armor off first, though. You have fun, and I'll just walk off to one side of the room and start taking the armor off.
One side of the room. That's shocking. Fine. In my room, no, that's fine. Whatever.
You used to stay with me. Who cares? We're both
I like my
women.
privacy. Thank you very much. And I go off to wake up the others if they're not already awake.
All right.
Starting
Well-
with Olivia's room.
Whether they may or may not be awake, most of them wish they were not awake yet. They've had a long night's work last night, and they are all, in many cases, not that willing or eager to rise and shine with the dawn. Then again, by the look of it, the dawn was a good 2 or 3 hours ago at least, maybe longer.
Still
We
too
were going
early.
to sleep in until someone woke us up, namely Hallier.
Is it 2 o'clock yet? If not, I'll go back to sleep. On ability, of course I think it'll be 2 o'clock.
I'd be happy to leave you here.
Oh no. And leave all the adventure behind and all the treasure? No, not a chance.
Just wait till you see what adventures lie ahead of you this day.
Honestly, I think it's just best you stay behind before I punch you, but never mind. And moving on to the next room.
All
The
right.
Cyrus room, if I get it correct. I can't even
Sure.
remember exactly which room it was.
You can go to his room next if you want. I don't mind. I didn't even know you had separate rooms, but this is great.
Apparently we did.
Hey, we're just making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
How do you announce your presence?
Bang, bang, bang on the door.
You narrow
Cyrus?
the door.
Okay, you hear a solid thud and a rattle on the other side of the door as an arrow thuds into the door and quivers. The wood splinters as it impacts, but it doesn't make it all the way through.
Good morning to you too, Cyrus.
Someone better be dead, dying, bleeding, or something.
Maybe soon, if you'd like to get up and find out. That's up to you. Your choice.
Oh, fine. I'll get up. I don't want to, but I'll get up.
We can all blame Holiday later.
Should have had her open the door. I'll pull my arrow out of the door.
Mm-hmm.
Get dressed. Well, sorry about that, but I don't like sleeping indoors. And plus the night we were having, I didn't know who was knocking.
I can't say I blame you, but if you'd like to sleep outside, you could always save a couple of our coins. And you can
I'd be happy to go.
outside.
Yes. Oh, Haldare said she wanted to talk to me anyways about something.
No, Haldare wanted to talk to me, and apparently the Lady of Baranti, right, some noble lady wants to talk to us. So we're all getting up, just for that.
Oh, good. The woman that took this possessed psycho chick.
House Baranti. If someone from House Baratheon was wanting to get in touch, you could imagine some rather more Orzammarian politics than you normally get in this part of Ferelden.
Yeah, and all kinds of other troubles.
Yeah.
Canonically gets names wrong.
All right.
Okay, sod it. There's now a House Baratheon in Orzammar. They're known for being very drunk, picking fights, and predicting everything this peroxide princess will do wrong for the next 7 fucking seasons before getting murdered by their wife. And oh wait, we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here, aren't we?
All right, who's not up yet?
Witred.
Oh, I'll help you wake him up.
Go with you? Right.
Yeah, I'll follow along to wake up Witred.
Wait, what do you mean fall?
I can imagine it now. He's sitting there sharpening a razor. Getting the lye soap ready to shave his beard off with.
So we both stop outside his door, and I look at Cyrus. You don't have a shield handy, do you?
A what?
Shield! Shield handy!
No, I don't have a shield. I have a razor, though.
Chair. I look around for a chair.
In the hallway,
No chairs? There should be
there's a
chairs.
bench.
Into the hall.
There's a nice tapestry on the wall. That must have cost the proprietor quite a few sovereigns. Not very many. There's a few kind of like three-legged stools, but not really much by way of a big proper armchair.
Alright, screw it. I'm taking a stool.
Okay, you pick up a stool. You
I
now
knock
feel
on the
much
door.
more manly and safe.
I knock on the door with the stool, and then just brace myself.
Just to be clear, you're like using the stool to knock on the door with, or just holding the stool while you knock on the door?
I'm holding the stool, knocking on the door with it, and then just holding it out in front of me. Just to brace
Okay.
myself.
Well, Scott, there's
Yeah,
a strange
the other
sound
side.
of wood banging against your door.
On the other side of the door, you hear snoring rather loudly.
Witred, wake up, or I'm gonna shave your beard.
Not the beard!
That was quick, didn't it?
Followed by a thump, and part of an axe head is sticking out of the door.
He's awake.
Mildred, when you get that axe unstuck, please meet us out in the hall.
Why don't we go
Actually,
down?
any of us.
Why don't we go down for breakfast?
Of course.
That's
We
a
could go down
quaint
for
idea.
breakfast, hopefully not lose anyone on the way, that is.
Going down to breakfast, that's a quaint idea. Commoners do that.
So,
Yeah.
We're gonna have breakfast in bed.
as you're mentioning the idea of breakfast, you do catch sight of the rather well turned out young elven servant mounting the stairs once again and coming back up towards you. She looks, it's hard to describe. She looks a little put out. He says, "Ah, there you both are. Baths have been arranged and will be drawn and brought up shortly. The water is the stones are currently being warmed in the fire to warm the water in the bathtubs. I also took the liberty of arranging breakfast to be brought up to you all, if that would be acceptable."
Great. Just
Quite.
what we needed.
Quite, thank you.
Could you perhaps gather your companions?
On their way. Richard, get that axe out of the door and come out now.
And when Falrin passes back by his room and sees Haldir,
Yep, Haldir is asleep on the bed, still wearing half the armour.
Oh, there, don't make me drag you out of the bed.
Feet first.
Feet first.
and it looks like she managed to get her upper portion of armor off, was getting ready to take off the leg guards, and
All right,
passed
that's
out on
it.
your bed.
I grab her by the heel. And yank.
Hey!
There's a wrench and a thud as her shoulders and head connect with the floor rather hard.
Good morning for the second time.
Oh, good morning, sis. When did you sneak into my bedroom?
You're in my
Doing your-
bedroom.
Oh,
The bedroom I was sleeping
You know,
in, not my
you don't know how she snuck in here, but you've got the strangest inexplicable headache.
Why do you keep calling her sis?
because it's my little sister. She's been in my room countless times over the years.
It's a guy.
Nah, she's just flat.
Yes, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. Definitely not
She's
going
still
there.
she's still growing. I mean, she's nowhere near as developed as I am.
I give them
I understand.
Right,
Livia and Cyrus and looked, saying, I don't know how to convince her. I've stopped trying for a long time.
I have a way to convince her. Hang on just for a second.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I stand behind her and grab her shorts and
Don't you?
that's how to convince her.
Yeah. I didn't know when we came with those. So I did, yeah, no. Yeah.
Is this like that South Park moment where the boys are like, okay, we need to get that thing off the girls. Here's our great plan. So what we do is we wait till one of them's got it, and then one of us is going to run up and punch her in the balls, and then when she's in too much pain to do anything about it, another one of us grabs it and runs off with it. And then you see this girl walking down the hallway, and then
wait a
little kid
minute.
runs up, punches her in between the legs, and she goes, "Ow!" And he looks at his hand, he's like, "It didn't work! She hasn't got any!" and runs away.
So wait a minute. All those times you snuck into the church where I was staying at, while I was half dressed, you were.
What were you expecting, okay?
You were giving a guyish show.
Look, it's natural, alright? And I don't really think the Chantry cares.
You notice
Have a nice
the
day.
elven
And
serving maid is trying not to look.
Quickly, darn it! Quickly put my shorts back up. What the hell? Cyrus!
Yes.
Falron,
There's a
wasn't
picture
it?
of blushing and anger on my face.
Mr. Falron?
Yes.
I advise
Yeah, I'll be
you
right
to
back.
take advantage of my offer when it is made.
I will do so.
Now then, since you are all gathered, time for some introductions. My name
Yeah.
is Sheila,
Apparently.
because apparently whoever wrote this adventure couldn't think of a better name for a servant. Which means I suddenly am fighting a strong urge to have her put on an Australian accent.
Change your name if you needed to, but as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't really matter.
My name is Senya. I am a servant in the employ of Lady Nicola Baranti. Her Ladyship invites you all to come up to her mansion for a fine meal this eve. She is extremely grateful for the assistance you offered to her soldiers the night before, and would like to express her gratitude. Should you feel the need to avail yourself of the services of a tailor, Ferelden, while I appreciate that you should be paying attention here, this does actually apply to all of you. Then her ladyship is willing to make one available to you, so that you may be suitably attired for the occasion. You may go to Ragnar Trakken's enterprise, or perhaps if some of you favour the more Tavine fashions, then I do believe the merchant Kenzie has been importing to winter fashions of late, and is making a bit of a splash. Whichever you go to, tell them to send the bill to House Baranti, and Lady Nicola will cover all expenses.
As nice as it sounds, do we have to?
Given your recent state of undress, yes.
Walk up to Ferelden, place my hands on his shoulders. You know, I'm not going to knee you, but I really want to. You're going.
I must request an official response. Lady Nicola requires confirmation that you will be attending.
Yes, we're going to. Yes,
I will be.
Wonderful. Do you need directions to Mr. Trakken's or to Kenzie's establishment?
Please do. If you also happen to know a shortcut which other people don't know about, please tell me. Secret.
Very well, sir. The baths and food should not be much longer. I'll be on my way shortly. She steps out into the hallway and motions of her head for Ferelden to follow.
Oh, and Ferelden, with as much as you've seen in your lifetime, you should probably consider, like, I don't know, going on one knee for me.
Now? No, not now.
No, not now. Just later.
We'll talk about this later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I follow the servant out.
She
I head to the baths.
steps out into the hall, closes the door, and proceeds to give you thorough, detailed but efficient directions to the two establishments in question, and then asks, "And where did Sir require a shortcut to?"
I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to help my wife bring in some groceries.
Oh man, you missed some fun there.
Sound
But
like you ran like a mile.
Oh, and when I pass by Cyrus, I'm going to give him one of those short slaps upside the back of the head.
it will be
Asshole.
explained to you in a
Why are you
moment, don't worry. I'm just
Dang,
trying to establish where you want a shortcut to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's one place called what was it Mackenzie's?
Kenzie's. Yes, Kenzie's Fine Clothier.
That's where Tavine. I'm not going there. The other.
Ah, then perhaps Ragnar Trakken's. He is a dwarven tailor who specialises in other fashions.
Oh, that sounds better. Good dwarven.
Why are you so specific on other fashions? I'm just very worried now.
Oh, it's you'll pardon my saying so, I really shouldn't speak out of turn. Recently, the tailor Kenzie has managed to establish a link with some Tevinter importers. Whereas Sir Trakken, on the other hand, has not been able to yet establish a trading contact with them. That is
Anybody
all.
who sells weapons.
Good. I don't want to get the wrong idea.
Glenn, for your information, the conversation
Yeah.
is going on in the hall outside the room. There's been a conversation in the room, but that's okay.
All right. I'll go to Trakken's. I'd like a shortcut to Trakken's.
Of course, and she gives you suitable location directions, but you can tell that she's kind of standing almost on the balls of her feet, waiting to depart, and is just holding on to give you just as much information as you need before politely expecting permission to withdraw.
If you have to get back to work, you can go ahead. We can figure things out.
Glenn, we're outside the door, just the two of us. No,
Oh.
not it's
I never went into your room.
No, tell you what. Who was it? It was Cyrus has been outside in the hall waiting for the baths to come. The elven serving woman says, what was that, sir?"
I was just looking for some place to get new weapons.
"Of course, sir. While I am not particularly well versed in the matters of ironmongery, might I suggest Wade's Armour Emporium off the Market Square? It's a fine establishment. I'm sure you'd do well there. And if they do not have what you require, then perhaps they could point you towards an appropriate trader."
Okay.
well, if there's nothing else you really need to know, you're free to go.
Thank you both. And just a reminder, sir, she says to
Yeah.
Cyrus, Lady Nicola Baranti requires you at her mansion for a fine feast this evening. Will you be attending?
Sure.
Should you require the assistance of a tailor, I have given your associate here directions to not one, but 2 suitable establishments. Any expenses incurred at either of these locations will be covered by House Baranti, naturally.
Is she opposed to me wearing my armor up there?
Right.
I really couldn't say, sir, although it might not be too good for furniture.
I'm just afraid that if I take the armor off, I might float away, there to be no ceiling.
Sir, I can assure you there will most absolutely be a ceiling in the dining room.
Probably made of that crappy wood.
Probably stone. She probably lives in a stone house or mansion or whatever.
Indeed,
We'll
the
all be
Baranti
there.
mansion is south of the river, close to Fort Dracon.
You did say one of those tailors was a dwarf, right?
Yes, sir, Ragnar Trakken is a dwarf.
Maybe he can help me out.
Of course, perhaps Sir could purchase some extremely heavy boots with very thick soles to help keep Sir on the ground.
We can always tie rocks to your feet.
And with that, she does back away slightly, bob a curtsy, and, excusing herself, head off down the stairs. Shortly afterwards, the staff of the establishment come in, bringing food and bathtubs with hot water and soap and towels.
Into our separate rooms, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's only the
Yeah.
2 bathtubs, but yes, they don't bring them both to the same room. And servants are there to help you wash and dry yourselves and dress yourselves afterwards if you require their assistance with that, and to not
Sure.
if you do not.
Yeah, I'll take a first bath and
You can sense from their general demeanour they'd rather not assist you dry and dress yourself, but it's part of their duty.
mhm.
I'd rather
that's-
not.
Yeah, that's what servants are for. Yeah. Out into winter I am.
Of course, sir.
I thought the Venters usually called them slaves, not servants. But, I might be mistaken.
I'm being polite. These are good people. We don't upset the locals, do we?
Yes, I
And
know.
at this
Most of
point,
your
I
family
would
likes
like
snatching in
to.
with small children.
Moving on.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to remind everyone that Livia's only connections to this group, as far as she's concerned, is that you're all good drinking buddies, and you all spend time with her when she's drinking alcohol. This gives the impression that she spends a lot of time drinking alcohol, and therefore might not be entirely sober right now.
I haven't started yet. I'm having a bath first. The wine comes later. I haven't had breakfast.
Of course, back home in Winter, it is not uncommon for one to be consuming wine whilst also in the bathtub.
No, but I normally wait for breakfast, which is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When I get up. Only poor people get up before noon. I mean, that's a fact.
So you all wash and bathe and organise your equipment, and at one point, give me a volunteer. Who wants to be a volunteer?
Sure, I'll be a volunteer.
Okay, you go ahead and be a volunteer.
Okay, so at one point during your preparations, Cyrus, you come across that lovely letter from Alan thanking you ever so much for helping her and Connie in the matter of the stolen lyrium back down on Ban Corwin's land a few months ago.
Oh. Well, isn't that nice? I'm glad they made it back safely.
Yeah, they made it to the circle, and Alan is very grateful that you were able to see them safely through the hard time when the brigands attacked the chantry. However, there's something to the tone of the letter that feels a little more formal than personal, as if she's holding back something. She might be a little uncomfortable. It's hard to tell exactly and read between the lines, but you've never had any other letters from her, so it's not easy to compare, you know.
Kind of weird, but okay.
Well, you remember how quiet and mousy she was initially when you met her?
Yeah.
This seems, I'd almost say warm and friendly, but also a little standoffish as well. It's like she wants to be grateful while writing the letter, but you can't quite tell. There's a slight sense of discomfort. But then again, this was her first time going to the circle, so that's somewhat to be expected.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll tell when everybody comes down for breakfast. I'm not going to disturb them while they're bathing.
You've had this letter for a few weeks now. It's just you kind of like stumbled across it again while making your preparations this morning.
Oh, okay.
Look, Lynn, you've already disturbed my character's mind enough as it is.
I did receive a letter from the young lady that we helped before she headed to the chantry. She seems to be doing well. And she thanks us for our assistance.
So is that you actually interrupting me in the bath, or is that actually...
I thought you guys came
No,
down.
that's after you've all...
okay. That's after-
yeah, when you're all kind of
Okay.
getting together over breakfast and kind of sharing and like not quite throwing bread rolls at each other,
Gotcha.
but that kind of sense of camaraderie is coming back.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you'll actually see me not wearing my leathers. I'll be actually wearing, like, pants, a
Yep.
shirt, a jerkin, a jacket.
Uh-huh.
In this episode, Glenn fails to say the word jerkin about 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I can't. What the hell is it called? It's a. Yeah. It's a
Well, you see, a jerkin is similar to a doublet, except it can have shorter sleeves. Then again, a doublet also generally has short to no sleeves, just like a jerkin.
sleeveless jacket that extends down over the hips. No, I don't need a jerkin. I should have just got a jacket, but oh well.
A jacket or a jack?
A jacket.
The difference being that the jacket has longer sleeves.
Worn over the arm and torso provides additional protection, warmth, and style.
Hmm.
And it was cheaper. Oh well. So, anyways, yes, I have a. What do I have on? I put it in my character sheet.
Oh man, he's either looking up definitions or he's way more into fashion than his wife would be entirely comfortable with, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm actually looking at definitions. I do have a jacket.
I honestly can't wait for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition to hit next month, and that will be a fun time. It will be like 1st and 2nd edition, only better. And it won't be like 3rd edition, because 3rd edition was crap.
I think I still have my 1st edition book somewhere. But yes, I will inform. I'll let you guys know. Yes, that she did it. She did get there safely with the other woman that we helped, and evidently they're doing fine, and she thanks us.
That's a lot of books there, Paul.
No, it's cards and one. No books at all. There's 2 DVDs and 2 birthday cards.
Oh, those are big. Yeah, good for you.
Yes, that's why I had the meal on Friday.
Hmm.
But are we ready? Do we all know exactly where we're going? At least check out to see if we can get what we need.
I heard that the one I'm going to is a dwarf.
Ralph, I'm going to slip off.
Sorry, I had 2 people speaking at once. Well, 3 actually.
Sorry. I was just saying that I'm going to quietly slip off now to the shortcut.
Okay.
And get what I need quickly.
All right.
They can talk?
I will make note that you will be probably arriving first due to a shortcut, but I'll give the others a little while to do what they want to handle as well.
As soon as I get done eating breakfast, I'm going to head out to the... I guess I'll go with... If everybody wants to go with us, I'll wait to see if everybody wants to go with, and we'll sit there and wait and see if Ferelden is coming down. And
I wouldn't mind going to this armory. The armory.
And once she doesn't show up, I guess we'll head on out. Or if he doesn't show up, I guess we'll head to the dwarven place first so he can get some clothing to wear. Suitable.
Oh, is that you, Paul?
Yes, that's me and my birthday.
Oh, okay.
I think Paul's character Olivia will be heading off to the other one, Mackenzie's. But otherwise, everybody else going to the same place. Sort of.
Yeah. So, Ferelden heads off into the market district, to the eastern kind of portions of the market district, and comes across a nice fancy merchant's house. You know, actually a shop, rather than just a simple market store.
Does it have a sign on it? Does it say what it is, who it is, who's it won by?
Indeed, it is Ragnar Trakken's Ragnar Trakken Clothier Extraordinaire.
Good. I've found place.
There is a well-dressed, heavily built man standing outside by the doorway, keeping an eye on the street. And you can see tailors' dummies in the window, many fine garments on display, and there's a smell coming from the building. It smells like someone is gently boiling mulled wine inside.
I am going to walk in.
Going to what?
Walk in.
All right.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Or
Okay.
what I'm supposed to do.
Standing in the middle of the shop, you see a rather well-dressed, middle-aged dwarf, going a bit grey at the temples, with a neatly trimmed beard and hair that is just like slicked back over a bald patch. And he smiles as you come in and says, "Ah, welcome, welcome, come in, welcome to Ragnar Trakken's extraordinary garments. What can I help you with today? Might you perhaps be interested in some Navaran coats, or maybe something from far off to winter. We have all manner of wonderful garments here. Mulled wine, and he steps to the side and pours a goblet of wine and offers it to you.
I am so stunned. I accept the goblet without actually thinking about whether I drink or not, whether I want to drink or not.
Now then, he produces a number of strips of parchment and a quill and ink, and says, "What particular manner of garment might Sir be interested in today?"
I'm just.
He begins. He like pulls your arm out and gets in under your arm and begins to take measurements using the strip of parchment and marking with pen and ink the distances.
That kind of tickles.
Terribly sorry for that, sir.
I'm just looking for something for tonight. I'm supposed to be attending a very fancy party, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to wear.
Of course, sir. Might I ask where sir intends to dine this evening?
Lady Baranti's.
Oh, the Baranti estate. Lovely people. I might have just the thing if sir is interested. Oh, legs apart, sir. Which way does sir dress?
Whatever's convenient.
He bites his lip and says, to the left by the look of it, sir. And the measuring feels very uncomfortable for a moment, and is then removed.
Right, yeah, that's I something for tonight.
Now, if so would walk this way, I can hopefully get one of these adjusted. So, this nice fine doublet and hose, and here we have some wonderful boots. Perhaps a nice hat, gloves, a scarf.
Oh my god, no. Oh, please. Do I have to?
I am led to understand that Lady Baranti will be footing the bill. No expenses spared.
Yeah, I just feel very uncomfortable.
I see. Perhaps something a little more loose-fitting would be in order.
I just don't know what to do. Okay, yeah, I'll trust.
Does Sir require some form of diaphanous gown, perhaps?
Okay, again, I do not know how this works, so alright. I'll trust you on this. You bleed? You decide.
Very well, sir. Now, how about one of these? And he produces something that makes your eyes water and your head swim. Or maybe that's just for wine. And what follows feels like a good 30 to 40 minutes of trying on things and having measurements taken so they can be adjusted in time, and giving him your address so that they can be delivered in time for you to head up to the Baranti Manor this evening.
I begin to wonder to myself, at the very back of my head, a very small voice, did he just offer me wine so I wouldn't notice what was going on?
No, so you see, when a tailor asks which way does Sir dress, they mean which way does your penis go when your trousers are on, so that they can adjust the seams accordingly, so that it will be comfortable.
So my response was correct.
And the correct answer is to the left or to the right, obviously.
I do not regret my decision. Okay,
So, after a fine time trying on various garments, why don't you let me know what kind of outfit Ferelden is likely to be wearing to the Baranti Manor this evening?
I'll let Should I let you know now, or should I let you know later after everybody starts?
Well, you can let me know now, but if you're not sure, you can think on it a bit, and then when the garments get delivered to your lodgings, then you could maybe let your companions know what outrageous combination of garments you have acquired.
I am going to humiliate my own character. This is ridiculous, but okay.
That's alright, everyone else will be given the same opportunity.
Alright. uh, okay. Moving on, I will probably leave, and since I know about Wade's Emporium, because I was there, I will also go over to Wade's Emporium to see if I can anything.
Okay, well, as we both know, and actually Glenn probably knows as well, that'll be rather special, so why don't we wait a little and see what the others want to do? You know, give them a bit of time. Give me a bit of time to get into character for Wade's Armour Emporium. It's not one of the easiest ones to GM.
Yeah, no,
but plenty of fun when it works right.
Just pretend that Ferelden got a tiny bit lost in the marketplace. With all those
I've got a slightly better idea than that. I think Ferelden got waylaid by a stray dog that wanted to take him back to its master.
Oh, sweet. Jesus.
Who then got confused and said, "Why have you brought me this? Why have you brought me this, dog? I wanted you to bring me something useful."
Oh. Oh.
And the dog is like, "Ooh."
Alright, move on with everybody else.
Right, so the rest of you, I believe, were also heading to Ragnar Trakken's.
Is that the dressmaking stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so as
the dwarven one.
Yes, absolutely. As you've heard, Ragnar Trakken's is a fine establishment in the eastern portion of the marketplace. There's at least one security guard standing outside, and possibly more on the premises. Mr. Trakken himself is a neatly dressed middle-aged dwarf with hair combed over a bald spot. And he invites you all in and gives you mulled wine, ever so slightly spiced, and invites you all to peruse his wares and asks what you might like to wear for your upcoming social occasion.
I'd like to see some dresses. I'm asking him to get some of his models to parade out in front of me with their
Of course, milady. I'm afraid milady is mistaken. My models are not magical. They do not move. They simply reside in the shop windows. However, they can be rotated inwards for Mom to observe from whatever angle she may desire.
Misunderstand me. Some of your servants parading in the appropriate dresses for me, and I should choose to see how the dresses fit.
Sadly, milady, the girls responsible for such displays are unfortunately unavailable at the moment. A matter of personal health has come up.
I sort of like, oh, oops, that's not looking very good so far. Yeah, I sort of like to see if I get one of the ladies to help me out I choose the appropriate dress and do it smooth, very, flows very nicely.
So basically, you're asking the one who thought she was a boy until very recently for fashion tips and advice.
No, I'm asking the person who's actually the guy who makes these dresses.
Yes.
Okay, because some of the best design people are actually male in the fashion world. So I'm asking him to get some of his models, his female, servants, to model some dresses for me and do a parade. And I should choose one at my leisure. And if he hasn't got these models, as he's saying, then I have to. I assume he's going to allocate me a servant to help me look at these dresses and see how they fit, the texture and everything like this, and choose jewellery to go with it.
So, sadly, milady, there is a shortage of servants, I'm afraid, at the moment. Unfortunately, Kenzie's has been taking some of my customers of late, and I've had to let some of the servants go. We are a little short-staffed today.
I look extremely disappointed.
But I assure you the garments are all of the finest quality.
I'm sure there should be.
Perhaps if this one with the puffy shoulders?
No, something simple but elegant, you know.
Ah, of course. More refined.
I
How about
I do-
this, for example? And he...
had a character looking for something Coco Chanel, basically.
Oh.
Simple black dress with nice jewelry to go with it, to show off my nice neck and whatever. So the dress is there to show, is there to show the jewelry to show me, just as something indecent.
Something simple and elegant, of course. Might I... Might I suggest this little Navaran ensemble?
I'll have a look at things, of course. I'm looking also for the accessories to go with handbag, necklace, bracelet, that sort of stuff.
He does his best to produce something remarkably close to your desire, yet a little bit more fancy. Because he has his pride, and also he doesn't have time to knock something up in time for the evening, and it's rather a case of adjusting something that exists already in stock.
I understand. It's disappointing, but you know, I suppose one must make do when you're away from home.
Well, in all fairness, milady, Ferelden was occupied by your legions until some 20 or 30 years ago, and we've only recently been able to make some of our previous trade arrangements more profitable once again. Certain things were just unavailable for a very long time.
It must have been terrible not to have decent dresses here. Oh, that one over there looks a bit nice. Can you just hold that one up there? And
Of course, milady.
What jewelry got to go with that? Nice bracelet, a handbag, or something like this. The accessories, of course, make everything.
Of course, he clambers up a step stool to hold the thing up full length for you to examine.
Yeah, I spent about 5-10 minutes just being an arsehole and looking through the dresses. And then,
Oh, you spent longer than that doing that already, but carry on.
I know. And then I got a posture of the accessories. I'm saying that's just the dresses. Then I have to do the accessories. So half an hour later, we switch the other.
Oh my dear God! I'm looking at the rafters, seeing if they can hold me if I throw a rope over it and hang myself.
Well, Glenn, Cyrus suspects that were he to wish to do this, one of the security guards might be willing to help him in that endeavour.
I'm pretty sure.
I probably have to hang me, no doubt, but yes.
He probably joined me too, just to get away from this pompous ass.
I'm glad I'm not there.
Lady. Hey, my mother's normal ladies I know that spend this long choosing dresses and longer. They're like to Vince.
Much longer.
Yeah.
Oh, no, come on, Paul, let's be fair. They go to 6 different shops, and then go back to the first 1 or 2 again, and actually decide what they're going to start buying this time.
A slight amendment to that.
Or they go back to the first shop and they buy the first thing that they looked at.
Yes! Yes!
Amendment to that. They actually have to buy stuff for their daughter, and then spend loads of money on themselves, then go back and they test the husband again for, we still haven't bought the stuff for Sean. I'll have to get for school or something, and touch him again for some more money.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Withred.
Aye.
You do know you're gonna have to shave for this event, right?
It's the latest fashion amongst all of the city dwarves.
Don't worry, I'll help you.
They can shave my beard when they're all dead.
No, you don't have to shave it all off. Just
make
it more fashion.
Don't worry. I'll make it a fashion statement for you.
They ain't touching my beard.
Oh.
Mr. Trakken frowns.
Can we shave your head?
Nah, it took me a while to grow this ponytail.
Are you sure you wouldn't like to look more human in human society?
Hey, turn
Boy,
his
look
guy
like
out.
human, you all look alike.
I can say the same thing about dwarves, but I never looked down low enough to see them.
Mr. Trakken approaches and hands Wittrid a second glass of mulled wine, and asks, "Well, what would you like then?"
You got anything that's for a proper dwarf? This place, I don't like these human dresses.
He frowns ever so slightly and says, "Well, we don't have much call for it, but I do have a few imports from Orzammar. If you would like to come this way into the back room, I can show you our somewhat limited selection."
That'd be fine. I'm of the smithing house. That helps you out.
I see. A little tricky. I'm not sure I have any smith-cast garments, but I'll see what I can manage. And he shows you lots of fairly simple, rudimentary, heavy garments with details in sort of geometric designs. Kind of like, houndstooth pattern, things like that.
A good metal heavy belt to go with
Oh
it.
yeah, and you can tell from the different shades of brown and grey exactly which social class and strata these particular things would belong to, and it's like a real mishmash. But at least it's much more acceptable than most of the things he has out front.
Right. I'll find one that's closest to my caste and status.
Okay, you do your best. You do find some interesting singe marks, where obviously a few sparks, little bits of stray coal have flown out of the fire and attached to the garment, indicating that this was definitely second-hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little worn, but it'll manage for a good few years yet. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
You make your
But
choice.
it's what you expect from barbarians.
Yeah, you make your choice, and he puts it on the bill to send off to Lady Baranti. And who else? Yeah,
Oh,
Cyrus.
yes.
What
I have
manner of
clothes I
garments?
brought with me from some good Dovish clothing. Not, typical nice social wear clothing whenever we have like parties or whatever else.
You.
I bought that before the game started. That this is my good Dalish clothes.
Yep. That's okay.
I
Would
just
you?
kind of smile and look at them and go, I have some Dalish clothes. But are you interested in some good Dalish wool? I happen to have a pound of it.
Dalish wool, you say?
Yes. Also some beads from my caravan made by us.
Yes. Yes, I don't believe Kenzie has any Dalish wool. That might just give me the edge. I might be able to start a new fashion trend. I could certainly do with the income. Absolutely, I will gladly take that off your hands, sir.
Not a problem.
Would say 40 silver be appropriate?
That'd be perfect. I'll give you both the wool and the beads for that.
Of course, I'll fashion something exquisite that no one in their right mind would recognize as Dalish, but I'm sure I can convince them what it is. And he pats you on the upper arm reassuringly and winks.
And when I head back to my caravan, I will be happy to set up trade with you, and I'll make sure you're the only person I sell this wool to whenever I come back to this town.
Are you suggesting an exclusive contract?
Yes.
I see. I might not... We'll see how it goes. If trade goes well, then yes. If not, I might have to unfortunately decline. Unfortunately, money's a little tight right now.
My communication skill, and I do have the...
Do you have the contacts?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, you're trying to set up a contact. Yeah, sure.
Oh, wow, that's a damn good roll.
That is a damn good roll. I think he might do very well. I'm popping his name in the group chat there for you. So yeah, Ragnar Trakken, you may be able to call on him in the future.
silver. Delete that woolen beads.
Okay. Yes, Evan. Sorry, had we not got to you yet?
I've been coughing, so
Sorry.
I've been on mute.
Wait, I haven't been here.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Haldir is, of course, while the others are all being dealt with, approached by Ragnar, and he politely inquires as to what you may wish to wear to this important social occasion.
Is there a particular trend that is fashionable amongst the city elves?
Yes, there is, but I wouldn't recommend wearing sackcloth and ash to her ladyship's mansion.
How about, well,
Tattoos and scars? Again, I wouldn't recommend it.
okay, well,
The tattoos are fine. The scars, on the
you're
other
off
hand.
to one thing. Understand, I've spent most of my time in a cloistered setting.
Of course. In that case, might I recommend Mom take the opportunity to show off her figure a little bit more, to allow the world to see her for what she truly is.
Can I be frank with you about something?
He looks past you and mouths gullible as fuck to your companions.
There's an individual who, for the longest time, I thought was a woman and is actually a man, and I want to kind of get a little bit of an alluring revenge, sultry but
I see. It does.
And I think his favorite color's black. Do you have something that you could suggest that would be stylish for the ladies' event, Miss Baratheon's event, or
Miss Baratheon?
I forgot the lady's name already, Graf. I'm sorry. Lady Baratheon.
See, you want to remember the Baratheons are back in Orzammar, whereas Ban Baranti is here.
Ban Baranti.
In
Damn.
I've forgot in Denerim.
Something appropriate for Ban
Alright.
Baranti household.
Definitely sisters.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I see, milady.
It's another city elf that I'm trying to.
Perhaps I could
impress
recommend
upon, but
one of
also make
these
them-
with some of this. And, oh, I've had this for ages, but I'm sure you could pull it off. And he starts handing you all manner of garments and accoutrements, some of which look like they've never seen the light of day. And probably never should.
They'll probably be eaten by
No,
moth. Happy
no.
by moth.
Look, he...
Now, I don't want to be.
Just to be clear here,
Mhm.
he knows that Lady Baranti's paying the bill, so he's taking the opportunity to get rid of some things he hasn't been able to shift in a very long time.
This will be the first time I've had something that's actually a nice outfit, and if you want to give me extra and just say that you had to go through a lot of extra material in order to come up with something for me, then I'll gladly take a few extras to take with me.
Oh, I wouldn't be so dishonest, but if you were to take this particular item, I'd be very grateful.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And with that,
I don't want to. Let's just say that I don't want to look like I'm ready for a funeral, though. I don't want that kind of black.
of course, I would recommend perhaps a few accents of black without overdoing it entirely.
Yeah.
You know, this coat has a kind of brown colour. I think it might suit your complexion rather well. And maybe this red shirt to go with it, and a black belt, and a black neckerchief.
Can we also find a way to highlight my hair in the ensemble? I'm just going off of the picture, Raph. She has white hair in the picture.
Of course, milady. Perhaps a
I'm sorry.
perhaps a flower to be worn in the hair, or some ribbons.
Flower.
I would recommend stopping by one of the flower girls in the marketplace for a flower. They tend to be more fresh that way.
Okay. I don't suppose there's a spot where an item could be placed, like where one might hold, the handles that go on the glasses with the handle. You hold it up to your eyes.
Yes,
Something like
milady,
that.
I am familiar with such items.
Just something on the dress where I could place that.
Of course.
Like an
I
extra
shall
box.
attach it here, if you will.
Thank you.
And he indicates the spot where such a thing will be made.
I'm not going to tell him that that's where I'm going to have a wand put later, but yeah,
That's
because I'm
okay.
going to get a hold of one.
And with that, your business here
Yep.
is all done. I'll give you some time to think on the outfits you have purchased. And I believe some of you had more business you wished to conduct in town. I almost said construct. Yeah, let's construct a business.
I will inform him if the others haven't where we're staying at, so those things can be sent to that location
Construct business.
when they're done.
Set up shop.
We're not going to stay here the entire time they're assembling the garments, I'm assuming.
Probably not.
Well, we're not gonna watch him.
No, I mean,
Well, I'm gonna head over to Wade's Armour Emporium.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to accompany.
Glenn, I just want to make
Yes?
sure that you have definitely made note of the fact that you have Ragnar Trakken as a contact for
Yes, I
future
did.
use.
Put that in your notes.
Yes, I did. I put it in my notes at the bottom of my character sheet under
I'm-
contacts.
I'm asking because in the future, if I forget it, I would appreciate it if you would remind me.
Not a problem.
And I'm also asking because if I then remind you in the future and you're like, oh shit, this is more serious than I thought, do not be surprised.
Okay. I have the feeling it will be getting more stuff from him because right now he is losing money badly.
Well, you say that, but he might just be really desperate to try and make a bit of a comeback. So, I understand that Cyrus was also wishing to head to Wade's Armour Emporium. Was there anything the rest of you were planning on doing this evening? Well, this afternoon in the town, rather.
I'm going with them.
Oh, this will be fun. Just to be clear, I'd like to remind you all that Scott has not played the computer games, so please don't spoil it for him.
Neither have I.
I know, again, please don't spoil it for Evan or Scott.
Okay,
Not gonna say a word.
Okay.
don't worry about it.
So I take it that after some time, many of you are going to arrive at Wade's Armour Emporium, a wonderful shop that specialises mostly in armour but has some weapons for sale. You can see a number of armour stands through the windows, and the place, and you can tell that it is a quality armour smith that works here. You know, there's filigree and inlays and engravings and etchings on the armour. You can tell that love and care and passion has been poured into the crafting of these significant pieces of defensive equipment.
Damn, it's actually pretty good.
Also, looking through the window, you can see a rather bored, somewhat heavy-set man with a snub nose and short light brown hair behind the counter, who doesn't, you know, he just looks bored, really, you know.
Hello, sir.
I will go inside.
The man straightens up and says, "Oh, welcome to Wade's Armour Emporium. I am Heren. How may I help you today?"
Wait, Rat?
What?
Set one thing straight.
You just realised, huh?
Ah! Gosh darn it! Maker, help me.
Let's be fair here. I'm not sure you could ever set Heren or Wade straight.
Hello, Haran. My name is Cyrus. Pleasure to meet you.
Of course.
You're,
Nice to meet you, Cyrus.
Are you the smith that made all these wonderful items?
Ah, no, that would be Wade. He's currently working in the back of the shop. And from the back of the shop you hear a voice. Oh, what's that, Heren? Customers? No, never mind, Wade. You keep working. You must finish that breastplate for Lord Elkinsor. Oh, but it's so plebeian. His requests for design. I just can't. I need finer ingredients if I'm to continue with this. I need inspiration. I need passion. And Heren rolls his eyes and says, anyway, getting back to what you all came in here for, how may I be of assistance to you all?
We need better equipment.
Assistance, comes a voice at the back of the shop. Oh, if only we had some more assistants to help run this wretched establishment.
I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You're not even remotely sorry.
God damn it.
I knew I should have spent like half an hour earlier today reminding myself more fully of Wade's Armour Emporium. Because it's a little rusty at the moment, I'm afraid.
I should have gone over the playthroughs. Damn it.
Falrun.
Yeah.
Would you still want a bow? A long bow?
Actually, yes, I do.
This would be a good area. This would be a good place to get it from. It's not quite elven, but he does put in enough care and love to it that it.
Not quite elven, says Heren. I assure you, this is of the utmost quality. Even some elven boyars themselves may struggle to achieve the results Wade manages. Allow me to demonstrate. And he produces one of the few bows in the shop and holds it out for you to examine.
Ooh.
And it is
I will
indeed a
take it.
quality piece.
This is a beautiful piece. June must have blessed him with this.
I don't know.
With
Things
this
made of
knowledge
wood.
to make this
I wouldn't
bow.
trust.
From the back of the shop, Wade emerges. He is a muscle-bound man with a really impressive moustache. Yeah, really impressive. Not a handlebar moustache, but a kind of drooping one. And he says, "Ah, yes, I remember working on that bow well. I was so very inspired at the time, wasn't I, Heren?" And Heren says, "Yes, Wade, you were very inspired at the time. If only you could find that inspiration now to work on Sir Elkinsor's breastplate." "Oh, but I can't work on the breastplate," says Wade. "I just can't. It's beastly. That odious little man and his demands. I don't know if I'll ever get it finished on time."
Well, let's give you a bit of a distraction. We do need your help in getting better equipment.
"Oh, better equipment, you say? What could I possibly do for you, sir?"
I would like better armor for starters, and also, yes, a bow. Proper, good.
"Better armour, Heren. Better armour. All they come in is they say better armour. I want details. I want passion. I need something to work with here." And Heren says, "Now then, Master Wade, you know it takes time to craft quality armour. Perhaps our customer might require one of our off-the-shelf items," he says, casting a disparaging look at your current choice of attire. You think he thinks you don't have a lot of money.
No, I don't.
And
We
you
all
also
do.
think he might be right. Wade, on the other hand, doesn't seem to be thinking about how much money you have, but about how extravagant he could make some armour for you, regardless of the price.
Well,
You sense that Heren tends to handle the more financial sides of the business.
I do need some better leathers, but I would like them to be very... How can I say this? This bow. This beautiful workmanship and the love...
"Yes," says
bow.
Heren.
It just reminds me of some of the crafters from my caravan, some of the masterworks that they have done. The armor, I would love it to be a reflection of the same love that you put into this bow. Something that Juné would be proud of. That looks like something Juné has, come down and just said, okay, this is... Because Juné to us is the master of crafts.
Oh, of course, he says. I'm sure I have something suitable here. It might take some time for Heren to find it. I suppose I should really work on that odious little man's armour. However, I do think I feel the start of inspiration. And Heren rolls his eyes and says, Maker, no, not inspiration. And Wade dashes off into the back of the shop, excitedly giggling to himself.
I'm sorry if I caused you any problems, sir.
Heren says, you do realise he's going to start working on this commission for you now, and he won't do anything else, which means that Lord Elkinsaw's armour probably won't be ready in time for the ball in a few months' time, and he will be most offended. But never you mind, I'll handle this side of the business. You'd better have enough money to pay for Wade's work when he's done with it.
How much money do we have?
Probably not enough, says Heren.
We might have to go do some work. But we are seeing our ladyship, so hopefully there's a reward there.
Heren, do you have anything good for a stealthy one?
How much is this bow?
Very good question, says Heren.
That's not a lot of money at all.
By my estimate, I would say... Oh, this bow? You are fortunate. This bow would cost you a mere 30 silver pieces.
I hand Falrin my old bow.
Oh, goodness sake.
I'm sorry, this bow, I just fell in love with this bow. It's beautiful, and I'm just like...
It's okay. It's alright.
I'm sorry, Falrin. I know you... And, 30 gold, silver, you said?
30 pieces of silver, precisely.
I'll hand him 30 pieces of
And
silver.
from the back of the shop you hear Wade saying, Ooh, silver! Yes, silver for the detailing on the leather, for the clasps and the buckles. Oh, it will look magnificent when it's done!
I whispered to Cyrus, you will not be able to afford this. Whatever.
I will be going back and forth to my caravan and getting more wool.
That's how we get there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez. But this is a beautiful bow.
It
I have
really
one.
is.
Yes.
It's made of the finest white wood with metal clasps and details, and there's engravings all along its length. It is a beautiful piece of workmanship.
Okay.
And he's even you know where the wood tapers towards the tips of the bow, he's even managed to capture a shot of kind of orangey red colour streak running through the wood and brought it out just perfectly towards the tips of the bow for that added bit of just beautiful craftsmanship. I just got to say, I'm loving this session so far. I haven't had to roll dice or use maps or anything. I'm going to see how long I can keep it up. Going all old school on this one.
I'm really curious now.
While they're doing their thing with the people, I'm walking around the shop examining each of the works.
They're very fancy, but also of reasonably good quality. Some are extremely high quality and definitely unaffordable.
I'm looking at the shelves and seeing if there are any wands for sale.
There are, sadly, no ones for sale at Wade's Armour Emporium.
It's worth a shot.
However, some of the weapons are made of grey iron, red steel, even some viridium, and there's even a silverite mace on display.
Excuse me, shopkeep?
Yes, says Heren.
If you and your associates are not able to provide, perhaps you could provide me with a location here in town that might have, and I hold my fingers out to the length that a wand would be, and I say, a stick about this long of metal or wooden construction that someone like her would use, and I point at Paul's character.
Ah, you mean a wand?
Yeah,
Oh,
those things.
What is the name of that place? He does know exactly where to recommend. I just can't remember what it's called. Damn it! What is that shop? It's like the Arcanarium or something.
Oh.
Sounds good.
Wait, the one in Denham, is that right?
Yeah, the one on the southern side of the marketplace, near the Friends of Red Jennies.
Yeah, I
Not
remember
that he'd use that as a point of reference, obviously.
Hold on, I have the Neren's map up here.
Uh-huh.
And, oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, it's not on there, is it?
It's one place you have to go to. How can you not be there?
Isn't it underground? Isn't it in the sewers?
No, it was in that little alleyway off.
Oh,
round the
yeah.
corner of the place, you'd get challenged by that knight who was at Ostagar. The mistaken
Wonders of
identity.
Thetis, isn't it? Or something like that. Wonders of Thetis? I don't know.
That could be it, actually. Yes.
Yes, it is Wonders of Thetis.
If I might recommend visiting the Wonders of Thetis, they deal with all manner of esoterica.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He says, literally having one of the Dragon Age Esoterica volumes open at the time.
It's not
And then I'll turn and look at Faller and go, can we go there?
sure if you're not angry at me anymore.
That's still debatable.
Heren says, if that is the case, sir, you might want to wait outside while your companion ventures in there.
Wait. I did say I want armor, better armor. One that is good for a sneaky one. Did I just say that to myself?
Light mail works.
Wade
You know I wear
examines
light mail. I
the...
can sneak in
Sorry.
it.
Heren examines the tips of his fingernails and say, I'm sorry, I must be mistaken. I do believe Sir asked for armor that would be useful for sneaking about.
I would like something that's not heavy, so that I can't.
Sir means lighter armor. More flexible.
Stronger.
And preferably not in rather striking colours. Might I suggest that one over there? And he gestures dismissively towards an old suit of, kind of cured leather that is, oh no, not that. It's somewhat... It'll do, it's not the most impressive armour, but it's well made and well cared for. And it's marked at about 18 silver pieces. This is Wade's Armour Emporium after all. Things don't come cheap here.
That explains why it's not answering me, because I was muted.
But yeah, because we couldn't hear you, Paul. Sorry, mate.
And I forgot to unmute myself. So, how much money have we got?
I have no idea. Why don't you check?
My character's got 7 silver pieces, that's it.
Oh, that's what you've got then. I don't know about the others.
70? Or 17?
7. 0. Yeah. 5, 6, 7.
Thank you.
You sound like you got more money than that, but no.
While we're here, And if we go to the other place, we do have money that I have yet to have a chance to divide up. Plus, it'd be kind of hard because we got to get a gold piece split up, and then yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So we can, if you don't have enough money, we do have money.
Okay. I was looking for a better staff, basically, quality staff. That'd be
That
where
would be that other place.
That might also be available at the Wonders of Phaedus.
that's the
Oh,
place. Yes.
while I'm thinking about it, sir, if you don't mind me asking, do you make repairs on armor here?
Wade doesn't like to repair anything unless he made it himself. We don't want to turn into some poor, shoddy repair shop.
Well, I have a suit of light mail back at the...
Wade is an
like, we've done
artisan,
a lot of
you know.
adventuring and, you know...
I'm sure if you find one of the weapons and arms dealers from Orzammar in the marketplace, they may be able to make some suitable adjustments to such a garment.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It would
Should I
be
recommend to
quite
them
out
that
of
you
the
guys
question
suggest-
from this establishment to do so.
Would it be appropriate if I was to tell them that you recommended them?
He pauses for a moment and says, "I suppose it might," and does a slight sneer.
Well, if it's not appropriate, then that's fine. I mean, I don't want to offend
Just
you.
one moment. Oh, if only we had the whisper button in here.
Well, you can whisper on the Skype chat.
Yeah.
Oh, Falrin,
Yes.
how much money do you need extra to get that armor?
Have enough. Yes, I have enough.
I'd say it's a suit of light leather, not too heavy, but fairly flexible.
Is it even better, or is it just as much as same as my armor? That
I wouldn't say it's better in terms of raw protective power, but in terms of durability and being well made, it would certainly last longer and stand up to more punishment. It would fit better.
It's true.
Actually, it's off the shelf. It wouldn't fit that much better, but it would fit better. Oh. Ooh, I just
Oh.
realised something. Okay.
I would do anything for more money at this point.
Well,
Like I said,
funny
we
thing
do
that...
have money. It's just if you need the extra money to help out with the things, we can do that, and we just.
You can barely afford whatever armor's Wade's making.
I will
Yeah,
figure
but
out
to
a way
be
pay
fair-
for that myself.
To be fair, this is Wade's Armour Emporium. Most people can't afford the armour he's making.
I'll step outside and wait on the others.
Alright. So, Evan,
I
while
am
you
looking... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
while you are waiting outside, do you fancy looking up one of the dwarven merchants from Orzammar who have market stalls in the marketplace selling all kinds of metal goods?
If there's something close by, sure.
Okay, you wander off and you do find a greasy-haired dwarven merchant with sooty skin peddling, an assortment of pieces of weapons and armour from a rather run-down stall. He has a couple of heavily armoured dwarven thugs or guards standing around to make sure no one nicks his produce.
Mm-hmm.
He looks up and he says, "Yeah, what can I help you with?"
I'm in the market of needing some armor repaired. I don't have it with me at the moment. It's back at the inn.
He says, "Really now? And
Yes,
why
it's
do you
like
think I should do that for you?"
Well, I'm not asking you to just do it for me. I'm asking you to... I mean, I would compensate you for your services.
Obviously. I'm just wondering why you happen to choose my humble market stall to come for your repairs.
Well, I turn and face the direction of the shop I just came for, and they apparently don't want me to say that you recommended them, but they recommended you.
Oh, really? Wonderful. Well, if you run along and fetch that item for me, I'm sure I can have some adjustments made, if need be.
What would the fee be? It's mostly just wear and tear, but can you give me a rough idea?
What kind of armor was it?
Light mail, sir.
Oh, I'd say about 12 silver ought to cover it. I mean, I'd have to look at it and see the extent of the damages myself first, obviously. But it'd be somewhere within that region.
I may just have to be satisfied with having it cleaned.
Then again, you did say Wade's recommended us to you, didn't you?
I did.
You know what? They're good people. Wade's Armour Emporium. I can go as low as 8 silver. If
On
that's
my
acceptable.
person, I've only got 3 silver to spare and 40 copper. However, I have some. I know. However, I have some associates inside that they're the ones that are having more than me.
As you answer, you see him smirking to one of his guards, and they kind of grin back at him.
You guys aren't going to rob me, are you?
Not in the least. Why don't you run along and see your associates? We'll be right here.
Well, and
He turns away and starts bawling out at passers-by. Come in, come one, come all. Fresh iron goods straight from Orzammar.
God damn it!
If I could say
Personally recommended by the staff of Wade's Armour Emporium themselves. You won't believe the quality we have.
Do you know the Kadish family by chance? The dwarven Kadish family.
Gosh.
Kadesh. Never heard of him.
Okay.
Fine ironmongery from House Kadesh here. Come marvel at the wonders of their craftsmanship.
I'm going to quietly walk back over in front of the
Why?
shops and-
Even Wade's Armour Emporium themselves accept some of our imparts for sale on their shelves from time to time. And you can tell he's just milking it for everything he's worth to just get
I'd
some
turn
more
and
trade.
face away from him and be just nonchalant sitting on a bench nearby the Wade's Emporium and just wait.
Oh, jeez.
I don't by
Wait.
chance hear him say that in
I
the last
screwed
time.
up.
What have you done? What have
I'm
you
outside,
done?
you're inside. I'm just sitting there.
Now I'm gonna get that stuck in my head for the rest of the night.
You told a guy running a market stall that essentially like Harrods or Marks and Spencer's personally recommended his business. I mean, of course he's going to use that to draw in more customers, you know.
Well, I said, specifically I said, well, I don't think they wanted me to suggest you, but they basically suggested you.
Yeah, he's still going to use it to get as many customers as he can.
I saw a dwarf, and I was just like, well, we got a dwarf in our association. Maybe, and he's a smith. That's, hey, this might be appropriate, you know. I just sit down outside and just be quiet and wait.
Do you have any
So-
ratings, sir?
You sit and you wait, and people start flocking to the market stall, excited by the banter and the chatter, and they begin to buy and sell things. And back inside the shop, what was that you said, Glenn?
Oh, I asked if he had any rapiers for sale.
Ah, you mean an Orlesian sword. Now, unfortunately, they're not very popular in Ferelden after the occupation, as you can imagine, but we might have something not entirely dissimilar hanging around in the stockroom. Isn't that right, Wade? And Wade calls back, "Oh no, don't disturb me now, Heren. I'm feeling inspiration. I'm working. I don't need to worry about this thing. You go sort it out. I'm sure you can deal with it."
I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life.
I occasionally try to roleplay the fact that I have a communication of the -1.
Yep, that's okay. Don't worry.
Oh, God, I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life.
Focus upon yourself.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm still over there examining another piece of armor and muttering about the wastefulness of human crafting.
Outside, you think you hear a deep dwarven voice bellowing something about Wade's Armour Emporium. You can't quite make out all the details, but it sounds exciting.
Is there like a drink or eatery or some sort nearby? I could quickly.
Yeah, it's a
peer into?
marketplace. You can easily go get some refreshments, but it'll cost you.
I'll look for like a pastry shop just to get quickly away from the embarrassment I just caused myself.
Okay. You go and obtain some refreshments. You might want to knock off a few copper pieces for that.
That's fine.
Oh, Jesus.
Jesus isn't here right now, but
Yeah, I know.
but Heren and Wade are willing to take you for everything you've got in the money department.
I know that.
Is 3 copper sufficient?
Call it 4.
Okay. And I'll just keep an eye on the shop.
They
on my associates.
they do manage to turn up a slightly outdated and old-fashioned slender-bladed sword. It's let's see. Rapier is the one which does have a what's it? The S-stock is the one for round cross-section. The rapier is the one with the thin double-edged
handle.
blade. No, I'm talking about the blade itself. And the S-stock is the one with the squarish cross-section. As opposed to the... Yeah, it's the kind of real diamond square cross-section as opposed to the more flattened... Because the rapier does have cutting edges, it's just that most people think the S-stock or the poignard... Well, the poignard is basically the dagger of rapiers, you know, the rapier of daggers, but yeah.
Yeah, they usually sell rapier main goshes.
Not so much here as they're more armor focused. But yeah, they do manage to turn up a sword for you. It'll cost, let me see now. It'll be somewhere in the region of 18 silver.
Do you think you can afford that, Cyrus?
Oh, wait, actually... I just remembered because there's the dueling weapon group, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Ooh, you might be in bad luck. That's like being in luck, but different. So yeah, it's a slender-bladed, relatively light sword. Yeah. Oh, look, yep, 18 silver. Yeah, sure. It's the same price. Right, I'm gonna pop back to the kitchen
mind if I take
for a moment, but I'll be back soon.
silver out to buy this? So I have 16 silver on me.
I haven't got that.
Ooh, Heren rolls his eyes at you, asking to borrow money from your companions to help cover the cost of this expense.
No, it's out of
Especially as I know, especially as he knows that you're also supposed to be paying for this suit of armor that's being made.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anyway, I am taking this plate back to the kitchen now, so I'll be back very soon.
Go ahead. We're gonna talk this over now. Really?
I just need to. I have 16. I sold my woolen beads for 40, so I made a killing on that. But I bought this bow,
Well, let's just hope you
which
make
you
it.
notice I have not taken it out of my hand either.
Well, your bow is mine now, and I'm happy just to have a bow.
It's a good Dalish bow too.
I don't like the crafting.
Makes me feel
It's
so
all
much closer.
really.
Sorry, I did not mean that.
So,
Oh, we need to pick up some arrows for also. Oh,
Cass,
we need to
did
get
that-
some more.
I wouldn't mind some stuff myself, like a nice stave or something.
Well, maybe I can sell this crossbow now that I have a bow. I wouldn't need 2 things.
Yes, we will get you a. We'll get you a staff and him or her the wand. I'm just asking for 2 silver so I can.
I gotta.
All right.
I wasn't talking about that.
To
Wait.
Livia.
Oh, wait, no. Apparently, Livia is poorer than we are.
I've only got 7.
Hey,
I haven't had a share of any of the whatever for ages.
None of us have.
Yeah.
we have not had a chance. We got thrown into this, then we took off for this, and that's why I said if we need the extra funding to pick up whatever we're buying,
Yeah.
I have to make up the difference.
Yeah.
Cass, what do you think of that outfit I sent you? Does that look good?
I am going to take a look now. Alright, Cyrus, I can spare 2 silver. It's not like it's that
No,
difficult.
it's. I'm talking about okay.
Yeah, the party treasure, you say.
From the party group that we have, because we ended up getting, because I have yet to have a chance to divide it, is we ended up getting from a small pouch 1 gold, 55 silver pieces, and 113 copper pieces.
And we haven't divided that up yet?
Right,
Haven't
I'm
had
back.
much of a chance to.
Alright.
Back
We all
now.
went to sleep, and then we took off for different parts unknown.
Alright, well, however you work it out anyway.
And I will get it all figured out. Or I can just do this. Let's see. Everybody, there is what, 5 of us? 4 of us?
You know, says Heren, I could take that off your hands if you're too troubled trying to divide it up. Consider it a down payment on the armor Wade is making for you.
I will come back with my down payment. I have other things that we must purchase for the group.
Of course
My
you
down
will.
payment will be brought back to you, trust me.
Oh
I do
yes.
not lie and I do not steal.
I believe you will make the down payment just as much as I believe that Wade will get Lord Elkinsaw's armor finished in time for the banquet.
Well, I'll make you a deal. If I make the down payment, you get to knock off 10% off of it.
Done. And he sneers.
I'm walking off going, that lady better give me a damn good
I'll, when I see them come walking out of the shop, I'll move to the edge of the pastry shop that I'm at and just wave.
I'm gonna ask another
Fine.
question first.
Yeah.
Is there any other armor? Just making sure I have other options, not just the one.
In terms of light armor?
In terms of light armor, yeah.
Yes, there are other light armored items. However, some of them might be a little more colourful than would suit your needs.
Oh, that's true. Ugh.
No, not that colourful. I did say a little more colourful.
Was black?
They're not screaming bright pink or anything, you know.
Is black?
Did ever... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, is black a thing? No, just thinking back in the medieval times, there was really no black because no black. You had to get that kind of dye.
Yeah, there may be... Well, you know, there probably are sumptuary lords as well.
Well, it's Thetis. I mean, like it's a fictional place, so obviously.
So there's lots of browns and dark greys that are fairly suited to being sneaky. However, if you want armor that is thicker and heavier, that is obviously not so good for sneaking around in. So it's difficult to, when you say you want something better, it's difficult to come up with something.
That's true.
There are some reinforced light leather armor suits.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, am I looking at some slightly hardened light leather as opposed to so that's like boiled leather plates, you know, honey boiled leather plates that are stiffer but lighter and covering less of the body. In
And how much would that
fact, a suit of that would set you back a mere 30 silver pieces. Did say.
I handed everybody 11 silver
11.
pieces.
Understood.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's the division of the silver, and I'm going to have to find like a money exchanger for the gold piece.
Okay, so I think I can't afford that. I'll have to go for it. Stats-wise, could you tell me how, what it is, or like, tell me how it?
Yeah, it would be like light leather armor, but better.
Like that other light armor, but better.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into too much detail on what better would mean there, but it would be better.
You'd have protection.
Sorry, I'm just way too used to being playing the game and being able to look at stats.
I know. Isn't it nice and confusing when you don't get to do that? It costs almost twice as much as the other suit you were comparing it to.
Almost twice as much, but undoubtedly better.
Yeah. Too bad there's no one in the party who's a blacksmith who can tell you how well it is.
I know, right? I mean, not that there's much metal in that suit of leather armor, but I know what you mean.
It's more durable, yes.
Yeah, it's boiled plates as opposed to just kind of like thick leathers.
Alright, okay, I guess I'll go for it.
You have the money? Sorry, you have the money, says Wade.
3 silver pieces, correct?
Yes, 30 pieces of silver. And he
Are you
holds out
sure?
his hand for them eagerly.
Are you sure we can't maybe take that down a tiny bit?
I don't know why, but for some reason I feel that someone got betrayed here.
He pricks his ears as if hearing something. He says, "Do you hear that outside? Someone's claiming to be endorsed by us. I don't believe we can afford to lower the price, given the current circumstances."
God dang it!
And you know who probably did that as well.
There's only one person who would have done that. Hold on a minute.
Yep. What, you're going outside to give him a slap round the head?
Going outside to give her a slap around the head, but I don't think I can do that because she's probably the one going to give me a slap around the head. But I will.
Out of curiosity, is that guy still yelling about my house being the one that's
Screw it, okay,
cracked?
fine.
He's mentioned it a few times, yeah.
When the dude said that you hear that out there, I listened out. Did he say it then?
So
Make me a
what,
perception check. Oh no, we were having to do dice. Ah,
Okay, Raph, I did buy the rapier or what the dueling
yeah.
weapon.
It's a rapier equivalent, but not quite what you'd expect your average rapier to look like. It's a little more old-fashioned,
I can live with that.
kind of like a proto rapier that might eventually evolve into one in a few more generations of work. It's a little old, probably dates back to the Orlesian occupation, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
However, most Orlesians would look at it and say it was terribly out of date and out of fashion. But it's
I
still
could-
perfectly functional.
We're not in LA right now, though. Yeah, la, la, la.
You're not in Orlais, but you are in Denerim, which is the most Orlesian city in all Ferelden. That is to say, it has the highest Orlesian population in all Ferelden.
There is a woman who is a legion, but we haven't met her yet. I don't think.
There's more than one, but you have not. Were you thinking of Marjolaine by any chance?
No. Well, yeah, she is one option, but I was talking about that the woman who is also who also has a stall. You talked to her.
Mm.
Yeah, talk to her.
Oh, her!
Yeah.
Yeah, with the sticky sweets.
They do not have dueling weapons listed as a
The
weapon group
that's it. Oh, what? What do you mean for?
for making the putting the weapon together.
Oh, right. You can just write in your own weapon group, I think, can't you? I'm not sure.
No, you can't. It's a drop down.
Okay, well, it uses dexterity to hit and strength for damage, so same as light weapons in that regard, so call it light weapons.
Yeah, that's what I did. Weapon bonus. Damage is a d6.
Plus 3.
Plus 3.
And there's no strength requirement on it. It's also not a ranged weapon.
Yeah.
So I am getting that leather armor. Sorry, I'm just gonna add that in now.
Okay, so hardened light leather armor will have an armor rating of 4, and no armor penalty.
Armor rating of 4. How do I change that? Oh wait, no, I have to
Well, take it off first.
take it off right there.
No, I just mean on the character sheet you have to take it off before you can change it.
Right.
There we go.
Hmm.
Oh, I just got everything set
Alright,
up.
so
Oh crap. Whoops.
once you have all your purchase sorted out, it's time to head back to your lodgings, where you will find parcels from Ragnar Trakken's extraordinary...
Did I hear the dude? Or
You did, yes, absolutely. He was bawling out. By the sounds of it, half of Orzammar are backing his
Endorsing him,
expedition to the surface.
Yeah, but I'm going to have a talk with him about what he's doing.
Alright, so you amble outside and head over to the stall. You see the merchant yelling and bawling like as if he was selling common market produce, and 2 heavily armoured dwarven thugs standing on either side of the stall. They eye you up and down as you approach. And as you approach, he says, "Ah, yes! Nice to see one of my own people. What can I do for you today?"
I'd like to know why you're using my clan's name.
Ah, well, it's a good name. A quality name. Brings in the punters, you know.
Yeah, but it's an insult when the quality of the equipment isn't good.
Yeah, but that idiot sitting on the bench over there asked about that clan name, so I thought,
There's no idiot
why
on the
not
bench.
see who it brings in to survey my wares? And indeed, it seems a magnificent member of House Kadash has made himself present. Do you have any fine goods I could possibly
Suggest
sell?
you not be doing that again.
Of
There's
course.
no idiot on the bench. Remember, I walked off.
No harm done, though, eh?
We'll see.
Although you might want to find that idiot who misinformed me earlier. Looking at his goods, you can see they are not of the finest quality, and many of them are not what he claims to be when he's bawling out to passers-by.
And now you know why I never buy stuff from his stall.
And
However, there are 1 or 2 really fine pieces tucked away at the back that may have escaped most viewers' notice.
what are they?
Well, there's a rather impressive short sword with some gems set into the hilt, and there is a beautifully crafted shield with the House Idukan crest on it, which is probably not even remotely within your price range. The Idukans are the royal family of Orzammar, and if that's a genuine Idukan shield, you probably can't afford it. In fact, you're lucky just to be able to see it this close. And it's wrapped up a bit so that it's not very visible to the most passers-by.
Where'd you get that one?
Oh, that's he beckons for you to lean a little closer and lowers his voice. old soldier, member of the Royal Guard, dropped it off. Told me to hold it for someone. Someone special.
Oh. Oh dear.
But they haven't come yet. I'm a bit concerned. But I'll hold it.
No, but
It's more than my
by
life's
any-
worth to part with this to the wrong person.
no, by any chance, who was supposed to pick it up?
I'd rather not say.
Just hate to see such a piece sitting in such a, no offense, terrible stall.
Ah, but where better to hide such a diamond than amongst all this crud, eh? Now listen, you keep quiet about this, and I'll keep quiet about your family name. How do we say about that?
Sounds good. Still use my family name. We worked hard to get our positions.
I won't. You take care, was it they say Stone Brother, the same way that... I know, do they even call him... They keep saying Soul Brother, I think, sometimes as well, but it's like, take care, Soul Brother. And you immediately imagine the dwarfs being like, rock on, dude, or something, and you're like, no, it's Bill and Ted.
The Soul Brothers usually used by a certain other group.
Well, no, because they go on about the stone soul and being soul brothers in that they both share the same connection to the stone.
Oh, okay. Because I know Soul Brothers was usually used by the Death Dwarves.
Stone.
See, that's probably why I was thinking of it, but yeah, and that's also why they mention it. The Legion of the Dead, isn't it? Or the Legion of the Damned? I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Legion of the Dead.
Yeah.
Legion of the Damned, yeah. They usually
Dead.
use the Soul Brother.
Yeah, unfortunately that Idukan shield is likely to remain behind that market stall for another year or two until events that have not happened yet occur.
I'll pick up 4 more pages.
And then it
make
may
my way
very
back
well
to
be
the others.
collected by its rightful owner.
Dun dun dun.
And this does have a sheath for it, correct, Raph?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I'm
So
going
I have-
to.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Evan.
I was going to pick up 4 more pastries and make my way back over to them.
Oh, make that another 5 copper then.
Copper.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
5 silver? Yeah, they saw you coming.
And it's 1 for each of them.
Okay, did everybody see the money I put in there?
I did. I've already added it.
Well,
Yeah.
11 silver, you mean?
11
Yeah.
silver
Remember
and
that-
22 copper.
Remember that each
Okay,
one
yeah.
of those silver pieces is worth 100 copper, so
Okay, and how much is a gold worth of silver?
100 silver. It's
100
all
silver,
hundreds. It's World of Warcraft money.
Okay.
So I'll come back and I'll hand a pastry to each of them, but when I go to hand it to Falrin, I'll go almost there.
Where do you get the Magic ones and stuff like that? And
For that, you would want to go to the Wonders of Phaedus, a marvellous shop on the southern portion of the market sector, where they
That's
deal
cool.
in more esoterical, magical things.
Yeah,
There
okay,
are
good,
a
good,
few
good.
mages on hand to handle transactions and to verify the quality of the goods they sell, and a few stone golems from Orzammar to act as shop security, should any customers get out of hand.
Okay.
Oh.
Come here. Come
Wait,
here.
wait. There are a couple of golems there.
Yeah, they're about 8 or 9 feet
Oh.
high and about 6 or 7 feet wide, made of stone,
wanted to
look like
say-
big dwarf-like creatures, and they just
Yeah.
glare down.
Never mind.
It's
I
okay,
was
I was
gonna say-
I was answering the person who spoke first, then I was coming round to you.
Okay, but yeah, I kept be waiting for. Anyway, I'm looking for wands and or staves and things like this. Something with a bit more oomph in it, a bit more power, if you know what I mean. And look around to see what they've got there.
Well, if you desire a new wand you may get. How does for 3 silver pieces sound for a nice new wand, beautifully carved
I
with
think there's a bit more
embossed
power.
with.
I think there's a bit more power into it. That's just basic wand, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's
I-
rather
I-
fancy. Of course,
Okay.
you would be the one providing the power.
Yeah, and some ones have extra things in it, whatever.
Perhaps back into winter, but not so much here in Denerim.
Okay.
Do you have a metal wand?
No, I'm looking for a stave then.
Not you. I'm asking them.
Oh, sorry.
You asked them, and I'm right there, kind of coming in with you guys because I'm interested as well. And just as soon as you ask, and they're like, "No, we have this," and then I'm kind of, "Do you have one in metal?"
So this is a bit weird, right? That drink I had back in the kitchen, rather than helping moisten my throat, has actually made it go a bit dry and raspy. So I know I'd ideally like to go for like another hour and a half, but I might have to cut it a bit short on that. So I'm trying to wrap things up here and move towards the fine evening at the mansion itself.
Get water, Raph. Get water.
Yeah.
I did. It didn't work.
Well,
I'll do it again now. Back in a bit, guys. If I do it too many times, I'll also have to go to the toilet upstairs. Oh,
Bring a whole
bugger.
cup. Whatever
Glenn,
you
do I need to add that to my list, or is that what
Yes,
you're
you
asking
need to add
about?
that to your list.
I wasn't trying to
Myself?
cut you off, Paul. I was trying to join you.
but to say, other people have been talking for about at least half an hour now, and I was trying to get my turn
Understood.
in, and I wasn't getting it, but yeah.
I got you.
By the way, when those golems come up, my character goes all fanboy on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not us buying them, Glenn. That's you handing them out.
Yes.
Okay.
They just look clothes.
You guys got the lyrium to help with your magic, which you guys can also do
Yeah.
healing on yourselves. And each of us got one healing potion in case we're not close enough for you guys to get to us to heal us.
Okay.
Okay.
What's up? Lyrium is it anyway? Just a lyrium? Oh, lesser lyrium.
Nope.
Okay.
Lesser lyrium potion. I don't know what it does. You'll have to ask Raph. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know what the healing potion does.
Mhm.
Now, sitting in the party treasure until I can get to a money exchanger is 1 gold piece and 3 copper pieces. Everything else has been divided up evenly between everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, señor Sierras.
Like I said, I didn't have a chance because we ended the game the other night, so.
Yep.
And then we just took off for this.
We are having so much fun. There she are.
By the way, Cass, did you look at the image, and what do you think?
I think it's good.
Okay. I don't have an eye for fashion, but I figured that was something medieval and appropriate. It's actually Victorian, but close enough.
I, on the other hand, for some reason, have decided, why not just draw it out or something? Ugh. I instantly regret all my decisions. Let's screw it. Why not? Challenge it is.
Did you draw the picture that's on your profile image? On
Which
Skype?
one? Oh, Skype. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I got a whole bunch of other ones. I think I should change it.
I'm laughing at you guys having to get all that stuff. I bought my clothes.
Of course you did.
It's not too bad.
I don't trust the clothes they sell here.
I was half drunk when I got the clothes.
So when he comes out of his room and he's got his new clothes on,
And
You
then,
get a belt made of solid metal and it weighs like 50 pounds to keep you from flying away.
that could work. Alright, I think that's as far as I want to go with this because I am currently too tired to do any more. Or not. I am not happy. Let's do more. Done. What have I done?
Done with the buying and selling, or just done with the session?
No, I am currently drawing the outfit that.
Done with that. Gotcha. Done with that. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm never gonna be happy with it. I don't want to do more, or it's gonna turn to a full drawing.
Let's go grab one of my armor drawings and send it to you.
Do they wear boots? Oh, they wear boots. Yes, they do. I don't want to wear boots. I don't want to dress.
It's been a while since I've
I
done
thought
any
about
art.
wearing authentic Dalish dress and show up in a loincloth.
I don't trust what they wear, but okay, sure.
These are humans, they would know.
Oh, oh, I see what you're doing.
Either that or tell the dwarf that's authentic dress and have him show up in a loincloth. Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to tell that I didn't have clothes on because of all the hair?
Yeah.
And then you've just proved to me that everything I think about you guys is absolutely true.
That we're all peasants?
Yes. I'm such a snob.
I am. There's a very big probability that the moment you go bad, I am going to probably try to kill you.
Yes. No, noblesse oblige. You're supposed to look after your servants. So if somebody, I consider you like my servants. Somebody pisses on you, they piss on me, so I smack them in the face. Only I have the permission, have the authority to put you guys down. Somebody else does it, they have to answer to me. Noblesse oblige.
Flattery.
Yeah, it's just like I'm like a noble person. Like I have responsibilities to look after those in my care, and you're in my care because you're my servants, effectively. Well, that's what I consider it. Obviously, you're not, but you know, my arrogance just says differently. So, so somebody hurts you guys, I'll let rip. Masses. It's only I have the authority to punish you guys. Nobody else does, because I'm a lady and they're not.
Y'all do know that y'all are never going to be able to convince him that not wearing some metal to hold him down won't get him to float away. It has to be a dwarf of one of the clans.
Yeah, as I say, if it's nice quality metal, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because it's quality and well designed. But if it's just like basic, like iron and just rugged, like not posh, I think I'd look down my nose at you. But then I look down my nose at you anyway, so yeah, wasn't much different. So
By the way, going to these places like this, are we supposed to be able to take our weapons with us?
I don't know.
Yeah. If it's a posh weapon, like possibly Glenn's rapier, if it's a posh weapon, he might be allowed to take it as a, you know, like a dress weapon. Like officers have their swords for their sides in the special number 1 uniforms. But
We got a maul, a throwing axe,
oh, not those.
battle axe.
No. Glenn might say, rapier, yes, it's a dress weapon, but don't think that was an axe.
Welcome
A
back.
bow is a dress. A bow
Alright.
is a dress weapon for the Dalish.
Yes, we're going to a human place, aren't we?
Alright. So,
It's a
back to the
beautiful
action.
bow.
So I am back. Yes.
Yay!
You feeling better?
I don't know. I've drunk 2 glasses of water. I've been upstairs, been to the toilet, talked to my father as he's heading off to bed, and I've got a nice big mug of water here beside my chair, but I suspect that despite having been to the toilet, if I drink any more of it, I will probably wet myself before I can get out of the chair. So I'll try not to rely on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's not good.
so Paul wants his moment in the sun, so let's go.
Mm.
Let's give him
Yeah.
the good.
I have nothing prepared for the wonders of Phaedus, but I do not believe they have the kind of magic wand he is looking for at the moment.
Okay. A staff certificate.
Because
but,
this isn't Galarian.
no, I was just looking for a staff that's like not Galarian type stats. I'm talking about Dragon Age type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know. Do you know?
You played it more than me, so of course if you don't know, nobody bloody does. But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, that's because my stuck up nose.
Think of the wand or staff more as a conduit or amplifier than as a actual source of power of its own. So when you're coming and saying, I want a wand that's more powerful, they'll just kind of look at you and be like, so what you're saying is you want a more powerful wizard to hold it?
No, I'm looking at
because that's what you're asking for.
I'm asking, well, my words were correct because you know I have issues with words. I'm looking for something to amplify power in a specific way. Something that amplifies elemental power or something like that, or healing power. You know, attuned to one of the elements. That's what we're looking for. Stuff attuned to an element.
Well, I'm afraid, milady, we do not have such an item in at present. However, if you wish to place a custom order, we should be able to look into making such an item obtainable within the future. Perhaps you could be a little more specific.
Oh, looking for something to enhance my elemental power.
At this point, one of the shop staff steps over to you, and he says, you know, I might be able to help you get hold of what you desire.
Ooh. I looked at him very intently.
As my colleague here suggested, as he draws you away to a more discreet portion of the shop, he says, as my colleague suggested, we do not have such an item in stock for display purposes at present. However, we might be able to put you in contact for the right price with a trader who could provide such an object.
I raise an eyebrow.
It's not standard store policy. There are one or two items that do meet your requirements, but there's not much general call for them.
Of course. This is the sort of person I understand totally. This is the sort of wheels of the deal that Sprinters does. So,
I'm so glad you said that before I did.
Yeah, out of character, probably haven't got enough money, anywhere near enough money, but you know, to operate myself. But I got, where would I find this sort of person? And I drop myself on the floor. He dropped something, I believe, sir.
He takes a step closer to you, his foot conveniently concealing the coin, and says, ah yes, perhaps if you could come tomorrow, late in the afternoon, when I'm nearing the end of my shift, I shall be able to take you to meet some individuals who could assist you in obtaining that which you require.
Knocking up on silver now. I understand. I think we understand each other. I should do my utmost to be here.
Oh, I think we do, he says. Might I have your name for... Or would...
I don't set it up, but I whisper to him, Lady Olivia.
Lady Olivia, of course. I shall endeavour to ensure you that your meeting tomorrow will be... I know exactly... Right, he knows exactly which word he's about to say. I've momentarily forgotten it. It's not fascinating, it's not exciting, it's not exhilarating, but it's something like that.
I understand, yeah. Worthwhile or something like that, yeah.
Mm.
And all those things put together.
Not worthwhile, but more it'll be just as exciting as you thought it might be. That sort of impression.
Yeah, and I'm done now, I'm happy.
Oh, bollocks. I did something stupid. Oh well. Never mind.
We all do that.
I had the wrong window up for a moment, and there was something there that shouldn't have been there. Okay. Never mind.
As he comes walking back, may I, sir? If you have a moment.
Yes.
I understand you have like wooden ones for about 3 silver. Do you have a slightly more expensive one made of metal? A wand, not a staff.
You are aware that metal does not conduct magical energies as effectively as wood.
Mhm.
Solid made that
That's
clear.
fine. I intend on eventually combining a wand with a sword.
He looks at you strangely for a moment and says, I see. You were with her, weren't you? And
Yes.
points to Livia.
I'm with. I point at all of. I kind of make a hand gesture toward all of them. I'm with all of them.
I see. This is
With
going to be
traveling
slightly
companions.
more complicated than I thought. I don't believe we have such an item in at the present, but we can get it in the future. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have business to attend to.
Well, I'll go ahead and take one of your 3 silver ones for now, and when you get
Oh,
the metal one,
one of
I'll
these?
just come back.
Absolutely. Would you like me to wrap it for you as well?
Certainly.
He
Easy
wraps a
transport.
handkerchief round it and hands it to you.
Thank you.
He then walks over and has a discreet, quiet word with one of his colleagues who
Oh,
strides off
shit.
at a leisurely pace and... What?
And get rid of that stupid staff.
I think Glenn might have just realised what's happening here.
Time for you to leave town.
As I said, has a word with one of his colleagues who trundles off and engages the 2 Templars by the doorway of the shop in deep conversation, often casting conspiratorial
Okay.
glances back towards Lady Livia and Haldir. There's muttering and pointing, and he's very interested in the Knights Templar, knowing exactly who the 2 customers are that were asking for things they don't normally stock that would grant extra power.
I'm not looking for extra power. I'm just looking for
Amplified power.
something. made
You
of metal.
said you were with her. That's all you needed to say.
Yeah. That's it.
Definitely.
I think now at least two of you are starting to realize what might be going on here.
Yeah.
I'm a recognized mage, no problems, but I'm not an apostate, but there again,
Hey, I'm just carrying the item for you. I never said I was using it.
So, pop quiz, guys.
Mm.
For those of you who
Ready for
might
ball.
know, what do the Templars usually do when they find out someone was asking about blood magic?
I wasn't asking about blood magic.
What?
No, you weren't.
I wasn't either.
You're asking a way to make more power. That pretty much falls under that.
Yeah,
Being from where you're from,
being from Tevinter as well. You know, blood magic is very popular in Tevinter. The Tevinter mages practice it quite widely.
Will say they practice it behind closed doors. Oh no, we don't
Well-
practice magic.
Well,
Anyway.
the subtle ones with an ounce of sense practice it behind closed doors.
I specified elemental magic I was looking into.
I know
Blood
you
magic.
did.
I don't do blood magic ever. But, there's a
But
certain,
you also asked about getting more power and something more powerful than what was currently in the shop.
No, it's a misspoke,
Also,
actually. I said, as he said, it's just
Rap. Okay, at this point it's kind of not fair because they don't know anything about, Dragon Age lore.
But that's half the fun.
Well,
Wow.
Paul's quite familiar with it, but
It's
that's...
getting very awkward at this point.
It is getting awkward. Tell you what, it's getting a bit late. Look, we'll wrap this up, and I would have liked to have done the meeting at the Baranti Mansion tonight, but we may just need to leave it till next time.
We still can.
We're
still
leaving
can,
to
yeah,
the
we're getting-
location.
You may wish
I'm
to
out, basically.
depart from the shop rather swiftly, however, before they get to find out where you live.
I was
Yeah,
just.
that's the
I
shot with the gold.
don't do blood magic, and I only asked about elemental magic.
He understands that, but we're spending too long talking about that little specific thing, and he wants us to move forward.
I know, I was saying, well, anyway, yeah.
So I will grab the dwarf and drag him out.
Mm-hmm.
What the golems?
I was just filling with books, but now I'm out of there.
As you drag him out, one of the golems turns its head with a creaking, grinding sound of stone, and its face just watches you pass with glowing, warm eyes.
I will be getting rid of that handkerchief, by the way.
That would be the first smart thing you've done.
Hey.
Nice one.
Pass by some peasant and just go, here you go, have a handkerchief.
No, I'll take that away from that peasant. No, Walk past some barrel that they have burning for people to stay warm and throw it in there and keep walking.
Wait, what's this burning? Why would you start a fire in a wooden barrel in Denerim? That's just insanity.
Or if they have a fire going on to stay warm.
Fire pit.
Fire
Pass by
pit,
a
A
whatever.
brazier with a
Yeah.
A brazier.
That'd be more like it, yes.
A brazier and throw it in there and keep going.
Okay.
Check over my shoulder every so often to make sure I ain't kicking up a weird color smoke.
What's the special about this?
I'll actually
Which-
rewind,
just
walk back to that
as
brazier, drop the
Oh.
wand in it.
Just as a reminder, where was this handkerchief from again?
The
The
one
guy
that you tied
put a
around the...
handkerchief around the wand that I purchased.
Oh, that. Yeah, sure. No, there's no funny coloured smoke coming up from that. That's okay.
Don't burn the wand, just hang on to it. Let's just keep going.
What if they come find us and I'm holding onto the wand and they've tracked it?
I don't know if they can... I don't know anything about magic. I don't know if they can track it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well, Raph, at least I've in the time that we have had that awkward.
You have been
run-in-
busy, I see.
Yes, I have been.
Right, so when you make it back to your lodgings, you find that Ragnar Trakken has had a number of parcels delivered for each of you.
Mm-hmm.
I even have some notes here, apparently. Yep. I see that Haldir, who goes by a man's name, will be wearing a rather interesting gown here.
Mm-hmm.
It's fairly tight and black, but with bright underlayers and long drooping sleeves with floral patterns upon them. I'm
put it in the
seeing that Haldir will be wearing a fairly dark assortment of garments with a long-backed, open-chested jacket, a sash around the waist, dark trousers, and very thickly soled shoes. Now, what ridiculous assortment of fashion car crash disasters are the rest of you going to be looking like when you head off to the Baranti Manor this evening?
Valren will be just looking at his outfit. It's like, how did it come to this? How?
Many of you sense that if anyone in high society were to draw you aside and ask where you got these rather eye-catching garments, it will be so that they can avoid entering aforementioned establishment in the future.
I tell them to say the opposite establishment.
Yeah.
I chose a simple black dress with simple black dress with a nice little pearl necklace and pearl bracelet. Nothing gaudy, nothing too fancy, simple but elegant.
Of course.
That's what I chose. What he delivered on the fated side, but that's what I chose.
Well, when the time comes, you wend your way through the city, over the river, up the hill towards Fort Dracon, where the seat of power lies, and the surrounding buildings include many mansions, one of which is the fine Baranti manor, with a nice wall around the gardens, and a broad drive leading up to a large pair of double doors, and standing there in front of the doors is a neatly turned out beardless dwarf with fair hair and impressive sideburns in a very, very fancy outfit. And he bows as you approach and greets each of you by name and invites you inside. He says, "If you would all care to come inside now, my ladyship awaits you in the parlour."
I let the servants who like lead on.
He ushers you into a most luxurious foyer. Yes, I know how to say that word.
Yay! You know how to say
It's not foyer. It's foyer. And closes the doors behind you. Through a doorway to the right, you are led into a magnificent parlour with a fire roaring in the hearth, a dining table, some sofas and chairs, and there, seated in that room, is a elderly woman in expensive and exquisite, yet not too ostentatious garments. Also, shut up, Evan.
Okay.
Also seated at the table are a young fellow, golden-haired, extravagant garments, and practically hanging on his arm is a rather pretty young thing whose garments are in less good taste than the young man and the old woman, but clearly trying to impress. And she's had her hair done nicely, and she's got face caked in makeup, and she's giggling at something the young man just said. And they all turn to see you enter. And the woman says, "Ah, these must be my guests. Do come and sit down. I am Ban Nicola of the House Baranti, and you would be those magnificent heroic individuals who assisted my guards last night." And the young man says, "Oh, grandmother, these are the young heroes you mentioned. I'm so pleased to meet them." And the young woman beside him giggles nervously, and he says, Oh, fancy, I never thought I'd meet real heroes." The dwarven servant closes the door behind you and goes and stands beside Ban Nicola's chair. Says, "Ban Nicola, perhaps your guest would like to be seated. Dinner will be available shortly."
I am looking very, very uncomfortable right now.
Hopefully even more so with what I just typed into the chat.
Very, very uncomfortable.
You're welcome. I kind of whisper as we're walking through, "This is what you owe me."
I don't owe you nothing.
Yeah, you do.
Let go!
Oh, isn't that cute? You make such a lovely couple.
Whispering very quietly, "How many times have you seen me change?" Yeah.
Oh, come on! I told you this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember?
Nope.
Like when we were
Not here. This is not the appropriate place.
You're making me uncomfortable.
Uh-huh. Yep.
I'm really laughing to myself because this is just the most fun I've had in years.
Please, how dare
I cannot take it out on Mr. Dalen.
Right, sorry, I
But I
just
can
had to
take
deal with
that
something there. You now have my attention again. So, you are ushered in, and you know, as the dwarf has suggested, that you'd all like to be seated. Baranti says, "Oh well, Bando, don't dally. Do show them to their seats." And he says, "Of course, my lady," and he shows you each to a seat that has been arranged for you. And the young gentleman says, "Of course, sir." And also, Bando announces each of you by name as he puts you into your seat. And he says, "Of course, allow me to introduce you all. Her Ladyship Ban Nicola of House Baranti, and here we have young Master Adric of House Baranti, and the Lady Yolanda." And Yolanda giggles nervously and edges a little closer to Adric in her seat. And he doesn't seem to mind her presence in his personal space as much as one might mind. Although he doesn't seem to be paying her that much attention either, to be honest. Yet.
Do they ask for our introductions?
Of course, although Bando seems to already know who all you are before you've even set foot in the building.
Must have read upon us.
What was that?
He must have. No. I was. No, I didn't say that out loud. No, I didn't.
Yes,
say
you
that
did. Just not very audibly.
When the
It's okay.
the person that's going to be announcing us, when he would have first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, never mind. I'll have to wait. He goes to say something before I correct him.
Why did I think this was a good idea? As the coat is slightly bigger than I thought it would be.
A little more roomy, yes. Well, to be fair, you did mention feeling a little uncomfortable with how tight things were, and so the tailor did mention letting things out a bit so you could have a looser outfit. That would be more comfortable.
I'm regretting everything.
Also rather
Make sure
chilly.
You're wearing pantaloons.
But basically, wearing an open-fronted jacket in
Do I need to
August
put this up on the chat now?
in a what?
Just to make it clear to everybody. I don't need to, do I?
You don't need to.
Okay.
You can if you want to. But essentially, we're talking wearing an open-fronted jacket over a bare chest in Liverpool in August, sort of thing, you know.
Why? Why, Trakken? Why?
Why, aye, man? Probably got a string vest and everything. However, food is shortly brought in by a group of elven servants who arrange it on the table, and it is a good opening course. You can tell, and as it arrives, Bando announces the food and tells you all this will be a fine soup to begin with freshly baked bread rolls brought from a bakery this morning, and he goes into great detail about how it's all been gathered.
Mm-hmm.
And you all settle down to enjoy yourselves. You notice there is a place for Bando at the table, and he also sits down to eat. However, before eating, he asks, "My lady, have you decided if for the banquet we will be going with the white candles or the blue?" And Lady Baranti says, "Oh, I think the white candles, Bando, don't you?" And he says, "Yes, your ladyship, of course. The white candles it shall be. I'll see to the arrangements right away." It's all gone ominously quiet. You're all sitting there like deer in the headlights, staring, wondering what to do.
I just started eating.
Milady, though I was introduced as Haldir, that is my name amongst the human society. Amongst the elves, I am Maglor.
Oh, how How very trusting of you to entrust me with such information. I appreciate it, says Lady Baranti. Of course, you know I've always been very fond of the elven people of this city. They've been very put upon. Indeed, says Bando. Was it not your ladyship who gave them medicine after that outbreak of plague in the alienage? Oh, you know, she says, I'm not quite sure. And Adric says, oh, of course, grandmother, you know it was you. You'll have to forgive my grandmother. She's a little bit shy. And he puts his arm around Yolanda's waist, and she giggles. And she murmurs in his ear, I know someone who's not very shy.
It's exceptionally kind of you to provide so many elven citizens to have jobs and places that they can be of service.
Oh yes, says Yolanda. It's amazing that the elves can get jobs here. I mean, honestly, there's places they just couldn't find employment at all these days.
Yes, it's greatly done that you rip them and force them to follow your gods and rip them from their homelands and destroy their homelands.
Oh, says Yolanda, you think so too? It's nice to meet such an understanding elf. Isn't he a nice elf, Adric? And Adric says, you might not want it. He says, oh, but really, he's very open-minded. He seems to understand the big picture. There is a big picture, isn't there? And Adric says, yes, but I'm sure you haven't seen it recently. It's fine.
I turn to Cyrus, where she can't see the one side of my face, but he can, and I wink at him. You know, like, hey, I know, I'm just brown nosing, okay? Leave me alone. That type of look.
Oh. Coughing awkwardly.
Well.
And Cyrus goes back to eating his food because.
Well, says Lady Baranti, I'm extremely grateful for you all for coming. Extremely grateful to you all for coming.
Thank you.
It's most unfortunate that the cult of the Chantry of the Still Tongue has chosen this moment to rear its ugly head once again. They do rise every few years, and every few years I have to put them down. It's ever so terrible. Oh yes, says Bando, and think of the poor children who have to suffer for having their parents murdered and their tongues cut out. My lady, you've always been so kind to those poor orphans, setting them in the chantry and paying for them to be trained up as members of the clergy. That's very kind. They could have been left out on the street to perish.
You say this like you are dealing with pests. This is not just some simple pest control. How can you not be taking this more seriously?
Oh, believe me, says Lady Baranti, I do take this ever so seriously every time it happens. Unfortunately, whenever the cult is defeated, inevitably the spirit behind it all manages to find a new host, and once again the cult begins to grow.
Why don't you enlist the help of, I don't know, the circle that deals with this stuff? Doesn't the mages usually deal with this stuff?
Why, good sir, that's a very good question.
Or Templars.
Olivia?
We have never previously been fortunate enough to capture a host of the spirit alive. I have sent to the circle, and Templars will be here within a day or so to ensure this individual is kept somewhere safe and sound where they can cause no harm and their cult cannot be spread any further. And the spirit will be trapped within its host for as long as the host shall live.
Don't you have like 2 perfectly good Templars standing guard at a wizard shop?
Indeed, but they had to wait till after closing hours to be available.
Ah, that's perfectly understandable. So they're coming here?
I do believe so. Bando will be dealing with it, won't you, Bando? And Bando nods and says, yes, m'lady, absolutely. By the way, m'lady, for the banquet, were you planning for the first course for wine to be the white or the red? And he says, I think white for the first course. Don't you, Bando? He says, very well, my lady, white wine it shall be. And he mutters to himself, white wine, first course, white wine.
Okay.
And you see Yolanda cuddling up to Adric and giggling. And he kind of, leans over and murmurs something in her ear. Anyone make me a communication test?
I can feel you.
Wait, no, would it be communication or perception? I think it might be... It would be perception, actually. Wait. Yeah, it would be perception.
I'd like to roll faith in order to maintain proper etiquette throughout the rest of the meal.
I'm not
Perception.
sure
Perception
that's...
hearing would be a good one, huh?
No, not hearing for this one. There's a reason why it would not be hearing.
God dang, everybody's getting frickin' damn. Every one of us rolled doubles.
I got 3 of a kind.
Yay.
Every one of us
Stunt.
got a stunt.
Okay. Ooh. So, Evan,
Mm-hmm.
Haldir gets the impression that Adric's brought along this young floozy mostly to annoy his grandmother, and he doesn't really care for her that much himself, and he's more doing it to see what kind of a reaction he can provoke.
Hmm.
Okay.
Not knowing how to, I have no idea how to.
I nudge at Evan. That's all right. I nudge at Haldir. Give him give her a questioning look.
I'll whisper. I'll whisper it over to you.
Okay.
Now, says Ban Baranti, as I am extremely grateful for your assistance in dealing with this pernicious cult of vipers, you will no doubt know that I am known for rewarding heroic individuals who have done good things for Ferelden or for the city of Denerim. And I have need of just such heroic folks. In fact, if you would be interested, I would be willing to be a patron. That is, to put certain deeds and tasks your way for which you may be suitably rewarded.
Okay.
Sounds good for the moment.
I look interested across the table towards the lady.
Young Adric murmurs something to Yolandi about suitable rewards occurring later. And she giggles like the blatant airhead that she is.
And I cannot help but shoot them both a weird look. Like, what?
I'm just looking at these two going, if she gives me the order, I'll take them out of our misery. That would be good for Ferelden.
Lady Baranti says, tomorrow morning I would be very interested in having you all visit the chantry in the market square. There is a certain revered sister who has been experiencing holy visions of late and would like to go on pilgrimage to a particular holy site in the south of Ferelden, on the edge of the... word currently escapes me, one moment.
Look at the map of Ferelden.
To the edge, near the edge of the Korkari Wilds. Now, while you are there, I would like you to visit the village of Softmere, where I would be very interested in your establishing a exclusive trade agreement for the riot wheat they produce to be. That is an exclusive agreement for Denerim, not exclusive for the entire kingdom itself. I do hear that there is a merchant by the name of Ronin who is also seeking this exclusive arrangement, and I would like to make sure that the arrangement falls into the hands of House Baranti.
I clutch at Haldier's arm really tightly.
I'll lean over and whisper to Falring, I didn't know you cared so much.
So Cass, just to be clear, you remember when we were looking at like character background notes and stuff yesterday?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't forget these things, you know?
I do have some background within trade. I have no problems
Oh, really?
negotiating on your behalf.
That would be most appreciated.
I'll take Falrin's
Now,
hand off my arm
of course,
and move it down to hold hands with him.
If you have any important business to attend to before departing town, I understand you spent some time at Wade's Armour Emporium earlier today.
Yes, ma'am. I have to return eventually to put down a deposit on a suit of armor he is making.
Wade's Armour Emporium, says young Adric. Isn't that isn't that place closed down at the moment?
No, right now he was working when we were there.
Working, says Bando. Ah, he must have found inspiration again. Never mind, says Lady Baranti. Do not worry about making a down payment on the armour. I'll cover it.
I was visiting, out of character, what is that place again?
The Wonders of Phaedus.
Yes, I've visited the Wonders of Phaedus as well.
No.
May
Oh,
Falrin
really?
excuse to get some fresh air.
Says Lady Baranti. You know, I also had some business at the Wonders of Phaedus recently. Some of the Templars from that very establishment will be visiting here later tonight to take care of our extra visitor.
Haldir, you're coming with me.
Mm-hmm. We'll be excused for just a moment if you don't mind. We need some fresh air.
Of course.
Thank
Take
you.
all the time you need.
They've just discovered on how much they actually care for one another.
Bando,
Going rather
yes.
do
slow.
see to it that they don't
Yes,
get lost
right,
upon
thank
the estate. And Bando rises from the table and follows you both outside. He remains a respectful distance, but stands by the door and watches you to make sure you don't stray off into parts of the mansion that you're not allowed to go to, basically, you know.
Okay.
But we're basically in the courtyard, right?
I think
There's a
just don't wanna
nice
be in the middle of
garden.
this conversation.
There is... One moment. There's a nice garden, there's windows, there's flower beds, there's amazing topiary.
Just take a walk around the garden and vent away from what's about to transpire between Paul and the lady.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Sorry, which scenario are we playing now? Because we are actually separated at this point.
Currently you're playing 6 or 7 different scenarios simultaneously, technically, but I didn't need to tell you that.
Yeah.
See, this is complicated, this is fun, this is
I
GMing.
just need to know so we're not talking over each other. You know what I mean?
I was going to set up a private conversation for the three of us and just text type it.
Oh, tell you what,
No, okay, that's fine.
essentially, given the lateness of the hour and everything, and the fact that this file size is going to get massive and uploading it will probably take like 18 hours or something ridiculous, I kind of want to wrap up soon. So, Lady Baranti arranges for you all to go to the Chantry in the Market Square the next morning. However, Falron, she has a different job for you that she'd like you to do, if you'd be interested. And in that case, she has another associate who would be stepping in to observe the doings of the group and to make sure that they were doing what she'd asked them to. This is your opportunity to exchange characters now as you were wishing to. However, please let us all know if you do want to so we can make the game flow around it. But for now, it is like gone 2 in the morning. I think it's a good time to end the session here and pick up next time. I hope it's been an enjoyable session despite the lack of battle maps and initiative rolls.
Well, that shows you don't have to have battle maps.
And
So
I'll
don't have to be fighting.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then next
we
week
can have
we'll
heart
be
attacks.
back to Strange Eons again. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say bye for now, and we can hang around and chat afterwards as usual.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Oh my god.